Whoa! This is another episode of UFO Garage.
I'm Ben.
And I'm Joe. And this is where we talk about UFOs, aliens, and, all things weird.
All things weird, dude.
What's up, Ben?
What's up, dude?
Hey, so if you're just listening, you can't see our friend Bailey is in the studio with us today. But if you're watching on YouTube, then you can totally see her, and you already know. Bailey, what's up? How you doing today?
I'm good, y'all. How you doing? I'm happy to be here. This is going to be fun.
Good. So, as you all know, we've recently hooked up with Redeemer Small Batch, so we brought the mastermind in the studio today to kind of chit-chat and talk about the company and maybe answer some questions. We're going to get down to the nitty-gritty, get to, all the funky stuff when it comes to, CBD and just CBG and all
just kind of cannabis,
all the cannabis stuff. So all things cannabis, and we're definitely going to get into that. I'm super excited that you're here today.
Thanks, bud.
Yeah,
hell yeah,
definitely. I think we're going to go over some Facebook stuff first.
Facebook
Does that sound like fun?
That sounds fun to me. Yeah, let's do it.
Stuff. And then once we finish that, then we'll get into the whole thing.
Let's do it.
Good. Awesome.
Up first.
Do you want me to shut this door, dude?
Unless dogs come in and make a bunch of noise.
Okay, cool.
Just whatever.
We'll leave it just like that.
It just gets so dang warm in here.
It does, dude. We are so hot.
So hot.
What about our light? Should we turn our light on?
Yeah, we should turn our light on.
Always something,
There we go.
We're total professionals, Bailey.
There we go. No, this is better. We're gonna look a lot better in this light.
Yes, man. Yes. Hey, before we do this though, dude, Bailey, you've got some oil right here on the table.
I did. I brought some CBD drops, and I thought maybe we should add it to our beverages for the show, and we'll just kind of see how the ride goes.
I'm totally fine with that. Could you pass me another brew?
Yes.
Poor favor.
Yes. Do you want a White Claw or?
No. I'll take this local buzz right here, sir. Nice. So what are we doing? We just add.
So yeah, I'm gonna hand it to you. Just take the lid. So this is a 300 milligram bottle. So like a dropper like this is gonna be like 10 milligrams.
10 milligrams.
Which is like a really nice addition for something like this, where you're not really like trying to like sleep, and you're not really trying to like be jazzed up. You're having a beverage. It's just gonna take your beverage and kind of cruise it. You know what I mean? Like make it last a little longer.
Hey, cruising with Tom is what I'm all about for sure. So you can add this to any beverage. Huh?
Yeah, no, you can put it in a lot of things. I think it's great in alcoholic beverages because it kind of just makes you feel the way you want an alcoholic beverage to make you feel, right? Like everybody's drinking to wind down and do those kind of things, and most of the time that doesn't actually work, and you end up drinking 3 or 4, and then you kind of feel not great.
Yeah.
Right? Especially the next day.
I'm like 8 or 10.
Yeah, right. Everybody's number's different. That's fine. But the CBD kind of like takes away all the things that are kind of creating the chaos that makes you feel like you want to have a beverage.
Nice.
And you guys will see. We'll do one, and then you'll be like, "Man, that was pretty nice."
Hell yeah!
Then you'll be like 2, and that'll be perfect.
Cheers, guys! Hell yeah! Dude. Well, you heard it first here, ladies and gentlemen, from Bailey on UFO Garage. As long as you put some CBD in your beer, you can have as many as you want.
That's the truth. And you want to have a hangover?
And then,
just kidding.
And you can even drive.
You might not. Ooh. Well, maybe a UFO.
Oh,
not
snap.
A car though.
I'm okay with that.
Well, if the UFO is driven by consciousness and your consciousness is pretty chill, then dude, you might just be the best driver out there.
Yeah.
Right?
Maybe UFO crashes are because they were just drunk.
Yeah.
They didn't put CBD in their beers.
There was no cannabis.
Yes. Awesome. Well, speaking of driving, dude, let's check out what we got here on the Facebook. This looks like it's pretty rad to drive. What do you think?
Big old pipes. How many beers do you think fit in that circumference?
Dude.
That looks like the full-size Yeti. Like, you could put at least 70 beers in there.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. What does it say? Quick stop at Walmart?
It's
Jupiter.
Walmart.
Walmart.
Jupiter.
Oh my God!
We're going to Jupiter and Saturn. That wasn't as good.
Who posted that one?
Joey.
Nice, dude. Nice.
I'm zoomed in so we don't see everything at once. Did you watch this video?
I didn't get to see this. Did you watch it?
Yeah. So, Lewis, yeah, that was a good post. I watched the whole thing. It starts out like, have you seen when somebody like folds a dollar bill and you see like, also this was posted on 9/11.
Weird things, like they're like...
Yeah,
Yes.
like you see like buildings,
Burning,
the 9/11 buildings are burning. Well, he takes it a step further. So like first you're like, oh, I've seen this already. But he takes it a step further. It's pretty cool. I don't know. I think it's a coincidence, but also it's probably on purpose. So...
Well, yeah, dude. I mean, you never know.
It goes from like, I think it started at the $100 bill, was like full Twin Towers, just smoke, and then down to the 50, and it was like shorter, still like way more smoke, and then the 20, it was like really even smaller, way more smoke, and then by the time you get to the new, these are all new designed bills, which I left out. So these were designed in like the 90s. So his whole thing was these bills were redesigned for like this plan that's been being planned for a long time to change. I mean, think about it. It has changed the direction.
The course of a lot.
Yeah.
Everything.
Well, I mean, what do they say? Like, if you got something important, right?
Yeah.
And you hide it under the flagpole, right? You hide it in plain sight. Something that everybody looks at every single day. Something that somebody uses every single day.
Yeah.
Right? You hide it in plain sight.
Yeah.
And then who would have thought you'll fold up a fucking dollar bill and there's a picture of the Twin Towers falling.
It's pretty good.
Who would have thought, right?
It's uncanny. It's.
I mean, it does look like it.
It's
crazy, right?
It does look like it.
Oh,
It does look
my
like
mic stand is
Get
Jim
that-
Goodall in me right now,
it's
dude.
that. Yeah, you gotta really get it.
But
There you
I'm
go.
not as strong enough. I'm not as strong enough.
You should have been wearing your recreational clothes.
The one time when the crowd was chanting my name.
Jesus #1. We did that on the last podcast.
There's like a Nacho Libre reference to like every other episode.
Yeah,
Oh my
yeah.
god.
Well, now you
dude.
just have to carry it through.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
theme now.
It's like a thing.
Exactly.
It's a thing. All right, what do we got next, man?
You can see Uranus with a telescope.
This week.
This week only. This week only.
Oh, a special preview of Uranus. This week only. Catch it while you can. Dude, awesome. All right, what's,
There's a black hole reference in there somewhere. There's a joke you can make about it.
it definitely is.
I just can't think of it.
All right, Louis. This has nothing to do with aliens, but it is funny.
Let's get smoked out.
Being the rookie, man. Oh man, yeah. John, I'm loving that 3D printer,
Oh,
man.
damn, dude. That's out of this world, bro.
Yeah, if we could get one of them UFO garage 3D printed things, would be pretty sweet, dude.
There it is.
Would be pretty sweet. I'm digging it, dude. With the black light around it.
Hell yeah.
What?
Yeah, we need more lights. I got the one light. We need more.
It's spacey. How many more lights do you need, dude?
Maybe just one for this side and then maybe like
To make it even?
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly.
Dude, so this tripped me out. I've seen this before.
What?
And it's like it's literally like two giant legs that are walking. It's an old it's kind of like Skinwalker in the way that like it's like a Native American tale of these things and that's literally what it is. It looks like
What is like the light that's like walking behind? Like, do you see the light that's coming like running behind it?
I see it. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, like the line of light.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Oh, what?
I don't know. Is the camera tracking it or something? I don't know.
That's strange.
But people have seen them like while camping, and they say that it's like a tiny little head, and there's no arms on it. It's like a
Just
tiny
legs.
It's like it's like a tiny little face,
Oh my
and then
God.
these two long giant legs.
You wouldn't get anything done.
It's like
You would, if your job is to scare the shit out of people.
Yeah.
You get a
he's
lot
crushing.
done.
He's crushing.
There's like some underground like base lab that's coming up with like goofy shit that freak us out about, and like this is like it's that one unused SNL skit that they finally used, and it's just a big hit. Like
I mean, Bailey, if you're out camping
I'm gonna keep an eye out for this.
And you hear something kind of shuffling, and you're like, "Damn, there could be like a bear, or like a mountain lion," and you poke your head out.
It's just a head on stilts.
They bounce.
Dude, I mean, would you? Okay, so here we go. If you're out hiking, right, you see a bear, you'd be terrified, right? But what if you're out hiking and you see this thing? Would you be more terrified of this or a bear?
Honestly, maybe the bear.
Maybe the bear?
I would think the bear for sure, dude.
Like this, I'm like not sure it's gonna hurt me. The bear.
What if you're in a tent, right, with the mesh and you can still see out?
Yeah. I'd be more afraid of this thing because what if it could just like hover right through?
And it just like you just see it looking at you with like its tiny face, like through the little mesh. Oh, it'd be so freaky.
But he's like running up to you like,
"Hey man,
hey, you guys got baked beans?
Hey buddy,
hey guys."
Oh man, yeah.
He's like really nice. My name's Jeff.
I can't carry my firewood.
Yeah.
Can we help me carry my firewood? Help!
I've got all these legs and no arms.
I've been looking everywhere. Oh my god, I've been running for so long.
I can't put in my tent. Like he's got a lot of problems if he's out camping.
Yeah.
Oh damn.
If you have no arms, like camping's tough.
Yeah.
They're just that's just creepy.
You're just laying under a tree at that point.
Yeah.
It's creepy.
So good post, John. Oh yeah. What's this one here? Kids in 2055 when they see that there's a different history unit for each week. Oh yeah, each week of 2020.
That's exactly how I feel.
First kid's perfect.
Yeah, that's exactly how I feel right now.
The last one's
those
the last one's even funnier because it's like not phased by anything.
Yeah, that's us now.
There's just nothing left. No emotion.
Exactly what we look
just
like.
Perpetually the last kid.
Yeah, that's awesome. Oh yeah, I've seen the time traveler, Michael Scott.
Yeah.
What year is it? Me, 2020, time traveler.
Bad choice.
2020 is just so popular. Is this another 2020 post? Skip it.
I'm gonna skip it.
Is this another 2020 post?
I'll just skip it.
Wow.
Skip it. Chase.
Secret Life of Symbolism with Jordan Maxwell. Is Jordan?
Oh yeah. So
who's Jordan Maxwell?
Jordan Maxwell. I mean, the title says it all. I mean, that's what he does. But
is he in relation to Ghislaine Maxwell?
No, not at all. But
0%.
I mean, we know the symbolism. Symbolism is hidden everywhere. It's hidden on your money. It's hidden in your church. The thing, it's hidden, out in public. Everything from the obelisk to just everything, right? The writing we use, it's hidden everywhere. What's up, Nibbler?
Nibbler brought her bone.
We've got another guest with us, little Nibbler, and her massive bone.
She was carrying it in like long way.
But yeah, dude. So I mean, when you think about it, it's like we're constantly being brainwashed by symbolism and don't even realize it.
Yeah,
it's everywhere.
It's everywhere, and like you said earlier, it's got to be. Well, I guess I heard this first from David Wilcock, but like his whole thing, whatever you think about the guy, I feel like there's some validity in the fact that like the powers that be have to put it in the zeitgeist to where you're aware of it to do some shady shit, because there's like this galactic contract to where they're like, well, we told them about it in movies and TVs and we told them.
You see it and you're like, whoa, that's crazy, but it's not something that's out of the ordinary because you're so used to seeing it constantly.
Yeah.
Right? They tell you exactly what they're going to do before they do it.
Right. It's like the hidden in plain sight thing you're talking about.
Yeah, it's literally up to you to whether or not you believe it or not, right? Yeah. Like we're kind of in this weird in-between phase where like you're seeing a lot of people that are a lot of new people are coming over to not so much the conspiracy realm, but they're definitely moving over into like this open-mindedness where they're not surprised by like strange stuff anymore.
Right.
And that was, back in the day, it's like, oh, you're just a conspiracy theorist. But now it's so much more. You're not just a conspiracy theorist. Now you're starting to ask questions.
Yeah.
And
a lot more people are like open to stuff.
I think the change in media, right, has kind of changed that, where like we are able to access so much more information, and so we're able to kind of like really see a lot wider than we were ever able to in history, you know? So
absolutely.
The veil kind of...
The veil,
right? The
dude,
veil.
that's what 2020 is. Because now you have
the veil
2020
is
vision.
gone. Yeah, the veil's gone. Yeah.
Hindsight. Yes.
Can you scoot over just a little bit? So
She's like, no, I want to chew on a bone on the metal
I want
leg
it to
that's on a
clink,
wooden floor.
Clink around.
I can't talk, so I need to make my own
she's
noise
looking
for
at
the
me
show.
like, what the hell, Dad? I was enjoying that.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so removing the veil, seeing 2020. Whoa.
Whoa.
All right, next, let's see what's up. Oh, Nacho Libre reference.
Uh-oh, here we go. Ashley! Man, what's up, girl?
Ashley, what's up? You post the funniest shit.
Yeah.
I'm really thinking about getting tested. Sometimes I can't breathe.
You can't breathe because you're fat. You let them pull my hairs out like that.
That lean, like, dude, have you ever done that, like, in public? Just...
I can't say that I have. No.
You should try it, because the people that get it are like,
Oh, man.
Episode 56.
MERS.
Oh, did anybody watch this? The Elon Musk timeline layout for the journey to Mars?
I didn't
Pretty
watch
recent.
it, but I've heard it.
Yeah.
What'd you think?
Dude.
By the 2030s?
If he says, well, he said 2022 that he's going to put the first people, or no, the first payload to start setting up the infrastructure on Mars, and then 2030s for like people, right? Am I getting that right?
Yeah, and then some of the people will be pregnant, and then when they get there, they'll have a child on Mars.
Yeah.
So they will be the first Martian, species.
Yeah.
To be born.
I heard they're gonna change
Wild.
the language once they're there to like more of a sound based, like a.
Did you? You heard that?
You've seen Mars Attacks?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Yeah, I heard it. But like he's invented that or the thing that they're talking about, like that brain implant thing where like you can literally communicate non-verbally.
Neuralink?
Like they're talking about non-verbal communication, so like they literally could have an entirely different or lack of dialect. Truly.
Ooh, that's a good point.
You know?
I wonder how that would work. Like, if you have Neuralink, could you communicate to people on Earth?
Dude, you need really good Wi-Fi.
That'll be the first thing they set up there.
Oh, dude, I mean, right now they have Starlink,
They'll get
so why not
Google
do it in a...
fiber up there and
Yeah. Oh,
Yep.
so Starlink, like, I'm just trying to think of how planets work, but there's got to be a way to do some kind of straight
like
line.
a pinging.
Yeah. Dude, that's the next thing is we're going to get internet, like great internet on Mars before
They fix the roads in Taylor.
Yes, exactly. Before like people in the country get good internet, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
That's awesome. Star Trek.
Oh, this was funny.
The reason all Star Trek spaceships meet each other the same way up is because does it say? Oh yeah, meet each other. Dude, I'm having a hard time.
The reason that all Star Trek
somebody else read
spaceships, yeah, the reason that all Star Trek spaceships meet each other the same way up, right?
Oh, same way
So
up.
the same way up, right?
I thought it meant like meet up.
Is because there's a universally decided down direction. That's kind of interesting, like if you think about it, like well, every warp-capable vessel has a piece of buttered toast suspended in an antimatter container unit. It's pickled up and dropped automatically by little robot arms within the unit 4 times a minute. The orientation of the buttered side tells the onboard computer which way is down, even when light years away from a gravitational field. Now,
Oh my god, dude.
yeah, so the toast will stay at the universal up and down position constantly, so the ship is able to read, oh shit, this way is down, now this way is not down.
So does that mean all toast is like quantumly linked?
Quantum toast.
Quantum toast.
Quantum toast links, dude. I'm telling you. Now this is where it gets interesting. Klingon ships use a slice of kagak spread with taklarg, but the effect is the same.
Oh my god, dude.
Do you speak Klingon?
No.
No? Do you speak Klingon?
No.
Not a while, at least.
Oh yeah, I haven't.
It's been a couple
in
years.
A long time. Yeah, it's been a while.
It's been a couple years. Yeah.
No. But you did great. That was great translation there.
Thanks, dude.
Yep. Here's the politic stuff. Yeah, the Joe Rogan moderating between Joe Biden and Trump.
Bo Jaden.
What do you think? Bo Jaden, yeah.
So did you see that Joe Jorgensen added real Donald Trump on Twitter and said, "Hey, I remember years ago you said it was a crime that third parties couldn't debate. I'd like to hold you to your word and let me debate with you and Bo Jaden."
Dude,
she added him.
No way. Oh, added him
on Twitter.
Twitter. What did he say? Did he say anything?
I don't know. I haven't seen the response.
Oh my
I haven't really
God.
dug that far into it,
dude.
But, yeah. So
I would watch that.
I would pay.
4 hours is a long time, though. That's a long.
Yeah.
I would pay to watch Joe Rogan destroy both of them for 4 hours. I literally would. I would pay per view. I'd pay $70 for that. Yeah. I would. That's my going rate. I'd pay $70.
I would. Yeah. His bullshit meter, right? Like he's always just interrupting people. Like, oh, hold on. Do you actually know that, or are you just saying something stupid?
I would love it. Would love that.
It would just be a bunch of like Joe Biden, like and the people in the. You gotta wake up, people.
You know the thing and the stuff. Like, what? Like Joe Biden would stop talking and like everybody would be kind of quiet, and then he'd be like, "Okay, Trump, let me ask you something." That'd be so funny. And then Trump would just talk for way too long.
Yeah,
it's long-winded.
That was pretty funny.
Wait, dude, this is pretty funny. So Bailey, you might not be familiar with these characters, but Eric Von Daniken. I don't know who that.
I can't tell
is.
who that guy is.
Giorgio Tsoukalos, and then Project Blue Book.
Oh, Hynek.
Yep. Jay Allen Hynek. And they're all like ripped. What is that? That's really random. Oh, that's not real, right? The Titanic.
It shouldn't be.
That's not real.
It's like, why would you make a tiny boat? Like in today's standards, like why would you make that tiny boat?
Yeah. Oh, I want to say something about this mask because I didn't know that a bunch of people had already posted about this mask before I posted about it. I bought that mask and then I go to check the website. It was only like $28. It wasn't too expensive. I go back and check the website because I couldn't find the charge on my credit card, and the website doesn't exist anymore. Huh. So, I mean, I'm glad I don't think I got ripped off, but yeah, so.
Was the mask, did you get the mask?
No, I didn't get the mask. I got the gloves. Oh, Birdie.
Hello.
Hey, Birdie.
Hi, baby.
Birdie. Oh, Birdie.
Oh, does a good kiss. Hi.
Being visited by all the dogs again.
Thank you
Visitation.
so much.
I know who you are already. Get out of here.
Yeah. What do you got? Yeah.
Ow.
Well, it's obvious who's in charge around here.
Yeah. Nibbler's in charge.
Nibbler's in
Nibbler.
charge.
Ready? Come here. Come here. You mind taking? Oh yeah.
Here's your bones. Never a dull moment around here.
No, I
you know?
like it. I love dogs. So
Yeah,
that's fine.
dude.
Yeah, how's it taste in your beer?
It's got a flavor to it.
Yeah, right. Gives it a little bit of like a little earthy. It actually pairs really. I mean, beer has hops and like those kind of things, and hops and cannabis, like the buds are real similar. Like they're in the same family or whatever. So you have like a lot of similar flavors. So it actually pairs really nicely with beer.
Even like the smells of it too.
Totally, yeah. The terpenes.
Yep.
Yeah, those terps. Absolutely.
the terps,
you get
man.
a lot of those same pinene or whatever.
Yes, I love it. No, yeah, it tastes good. Like you can taste a difference. Which is
especially
cool.
if you put it in like an IPA or something that's really hoppy. Like you have like that really, really kind of strong taste.
Yeah,
it really pairs well with that kind of thing. But I like it in beer. I haven't really had it in something that it didn't go with. Like, maybe champagne is, I wouldn't necessarily, it's not my first choice.
Yeah.
But other than that, as far as liquor is concerned, it goes in pretty much everything.
But
I like it. I think the number one thing that I put the drops in is coffee in the morning, because a lot of people, like, with coffee, you get lots of people get jitters, lots of people get, like, stomach don't feel great or, like, headachy from caffeine. And the CBD, if you put it in there, you know, like at a moderate drop level, because you don't want it to counteract the caffeine, right? You don't want to be like so chill, it's kind of ruining the effect of caffeine. But if you put it in like 10 to 20 milligrams in your coffee in the morning, just kind of like levels out all the negative side effects that people experience with coffee. And but I'd put it in just about everything.
Yeah. Can you taste it in your beer?
You know, not at first, but I mean, I like the taast.
You have a hoppy beer?
It's very hoppy.
Yeah, so we were just talking about this, that the terpenes between hops and cannabis, like the buds, are real similar. Oh. And so like when you they're like in the same family. Whoa. And so you wouldn't necessarily maybe taste it in a real hoppy beer, because it's you're getting similar flavor profiles.
Cool.
And smell and all those things. Yeah. Whereas like with Joe's, he's drinking a lighter beer, like
golden ale.
Yeah. It's he probably has a little bit more of the flavor because he has a less like hoppy beer. But
I'm tasting it now. But it's like a pleasant flavor. It doesn't taste like weed though. Like that's what's cool.
And the beer has like this like smooth
the mouthfeel,
the drinkability to it. Yeah,
mouthfeel,
it's weird.
Sure.
It's not like a sharp like, oh shit, I'm drinking beer. It like smoothed it out.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool.
It's almost cool. Like maybe my tongue is weird, but it's like almost you said coffee and maybe that entered my brain, and now I'm thinking, God, it tastes like a little bit like coffee. I don't know.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, it doesn't taste like coffee.
No, yeah,
but it's like, but yeah. So like terpenes, is that what are terpenes?
Okay, yeah, no, let's dive in.
Are we getting into it or
No, I mean we were just talking while you were gone, but terpenes are it's a chemical or whatever that gives stuff its smell. So when you think about, especially like not everything, but citrus, black pepper,
soap.
No, well, it could be in soap, right? Like if your soap.
I told you, dude.
They put terpenes in everything because it's smells in general that people like. Like lavender, you know, has a terpene called linalool. Is like that's what lavender.
Like sheep's wool.
Yeah, no, but
lanolin.
But there's a whole bunch of them, like pinene, right? And it's like what gives like pine trees and like conifer like that smell.
Yeah.
And so humans are really attracted to terpenes. Like we love the smell of citrus and these kind of things, and they all actually have their own like therapeutic properties. And so when you're pairing that with the cannabinoids, like you can really hone in on like exactly what you're trying to do. Like if you really into sleep, like myrcene is a terpene that has been proven to help with sleeping. And so if you have you're taking a cannabis product that's high in myrcene, like sleep will be easier. And so it really help. They add to the effects of terpenes. So it's pretty cool. But they're in everything. And hops, there's tons of them in hops, and it depends on the variety, right? Just like cannabis, hops has tons of varieties. Yeah. And so you get a lot of different flavor and smell profiles from hops. So that's why beer's like so expansive, because the hops alone, they put all kinds of different ingredients, but the hops alone can really change the way beer tastes.
Yeah.
I'm gonna start walking around and telling people, man, these terpenes are off the hook.
Hi.
It's gonna be
Jess.
It's gonna
nice
be.
to meet you,
I'm gonna
Jess.
tell people that all the time.
Dude, these terpenes
they smell delicious right now.
They're not everything, but like nature, like a lot of natural scents, and they're in a lot of essential oils and like that kind of thing.
Yeah. Get out in nature.
Yeah, there you go.
The terpenes.
Yeah.
I tried my hand at growing some hops when my wife and I first moved here, and
how'd it go?
Like got some.
It's pretty hot here.
It's terrible. Yeah, no, it's impossible unless you're like in a greenhouse environment.
Yeah, or like extreme shade here.
Yeah.
Like the climate's, I mean, it's just so hot here. 140 degrees. Most plants aren't really designed for that.
Yeah.
They
didn't go well, but what I did learn is that that hops, like, they share an ancestor with hemp. Which
right,
is
they're in the same family. Like I don't know all the Latin terms, but they're in the same family.
Yeah.
So they have a lot of similar profiles. They do different things, but a lot of similar things. They even look similar. Like when you look at the flower buds from both, like they look really similar.
They look yeah, like
it's the same. Yeah. Same
hop,
but different.
Same. Yeah, they looked very similar. Like when I was growing up, my brother was giving me shit. Like, dude, you're totally growing weed. Don't lie, dude.
I mean, the plant looks totally different. Like hops are vining, but the flowers do look very similar.
It's sick.
Hell yeah,
dude. So you're not gonna get your mask?
Yeah. Oh
no.
yeah.
I gotta find a more legit place to get it because I can't find the charge on my credit card. I know that there would be no reason why I would have shared it unless I bought it.
Did you get the gloves from the same place you bought the mask then?
No, I got the gloves from Amazon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does Amazon have the mask?
That I haven't looked. I should look there.
That would have been you should have scrolled down to the people also bought, and I bet their mask is right there.
It's like right here. The suit, like the whole deal.
Oh, dude, it's awesome. What's next? We're almost through this because I'm ready to get into that too. It's gonna be great. That's the
blimp?
the blimp thing.
I have to apologize for the listeners that have supported us and me talking shit about double posting. I totally double posted.
Everybody posted.
Sorry.
Everybody posted about it. But hear me out, okay? Maybe it was a blimp.
Maybe
it was.
Maybe it was a blimp, right? But maybe it wasn't.
Just maybe.
Maybe it wasn't, right? I mean, how often does something happen and then somebody takes a picture 90 miles away, 1,000 miles away, right? And then they send it in and it's like, oh, it was a blimp. This is what we saw over New Jersey. Here's the picture of the blimp, right? But maybe the blimp was like in Montana flying somewhere,
or
and they
just like in a different part of New Jersey and not like right there.
Yeah. I mean, we have to look at.
That's fair, Joe.
And this is something that we're obviously not very good at, but you'd have to look at flight plans. You could call the airport. Hey, was there a blimp, flying in this area? Was it something that maybe New Jersey already had a Goodyear blimp? This thing showed up in the sky and then disappeared, and then they lifted the blimp off. Somebody, maybe the government was like, Hey, get that blimp out there, right?
That's a good point.
And so I mean, why
crazier things have happened?
Yeah, I mean, why would the entire city of New Jersey stop on the highway, get out of their car to look at a blimp?
So this is where you're kind of delving into. Okay.
One full tincture.
Yeah, 10 milligrams. That's fine.
10 milligrams.
Like that.
Yeah, put the whole thing in there.
That?
There you go. There you go. Now you're ready.
Noise. This is also kind of it's not a hoppy, but yeah.
A little bit.
Very.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
My pleasure.
You're kind of like digging into. I had this idea of trying to like combat because I was so pissed. Like, oh, it's a fucking blimp, damn it. And I was trying to convince myself like but like maybe it wasn't. So I started to think of reasons why it wasn't. Okay, so one of the reasons is how many clear photos and videos do we have of it? We all have videos and photos that are a certain distance away. No one's close enough to that blimp to see it very clearly. I haven't seen it. Maybe it exists, but I haven't seen it.
Nobody would have been like taking pictures of a blimp though. That's a hard thing.
If it was a blimp,
right? Like because
that's a good point,
if it's a blimp, like maybe from this angle. Oh, I'm playing devil's advocate to your thing now though. But if it was a blimp, like maybe at this distance was the only time that it looked like it was real linear like that in the video, and so like at any other distance, everybody would just be like, "Oh, it's a blimp,"
Right? Yeah. So, no, that's totally fair.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I mean, nobody cares about a blimp
because there is the Goodyear blimp that has the little screen on the bottom, like right in the middle of the blimp, right? And we all know what that looks like. We can all see it. It's just strange to me that and people were saying, well, that just goes to show that people don't know what are in the skies. And it's like, yeah, but blimps have been around long enough to where you know what a blimp is going to look like when you look at it.
I mean, it looks extremely linear. There's so many videos.
There's far away, it probably looked a little weird. So yeah, it totally could be a blimp.
Yeah.
But at this point,
but maybe not.
Unidentified.
Yeah, I no, that like digs deeper. It gives more validity to it because it goes to the psychology. It speaks to the psychology. Like the closer you are, you're like dismissive, and then that's the only reason we have so many videos from that angle. Because at a certain distance, it's like, what the fuck is that, dude?
Yeah.
Also, I've never seen a blimp in person.
And why didn't anybody
like a full size?
I've never seen a blimp.
I've only Well,
I've seen a hot air balloon.
But you know what it looks like.
I know what it looks like.
They used to like fly a blimp around in my college, like at basketball games, like a little one that dropped stuff.
Oh yeah.
But that might be the large.
I've seen that.
Like
I've seen the
video.
small ones.
But
yeah.
like, I don't think. I'm with you. I don't think I've ever seen like one in real life.
When you go to,
It seems like a silly thing to fly around. Like,
pretty dangerous.
I don't know all the physics of it, but it seems like a pretty like whatever aircraft as far as they're concerned.
It's the chillest of aircrafts, right?
I hope you're not trying to get anywhere anytime soon.
It's like an air balloon, but like slightly. It's just like this much better because maybe they can like direction.
Yeah.
It's
It's
a
cool,
little
'cause
directional.
When I go to the Stars hockey games, they have a hamburger blimp that.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, that's what I'm talking about. Like
it drops
one of these things
hamburger
that drops-
coupons.
No.
Yeah.
For real hamburgers?
Yeah, it drops coupons.
A
It
coupon,
drops
a coupon.
coupons for hamburgers.
Oh my god.
Just drops a
Best
hamburger.
day ever. Like,
Yeah,
oh, it's a warm hamburger.
That would be.
Oh,
It's like
man.
the taco gun. Fun fest.
But you know, also another cool thing about this is like, look at how much attention it got.
Yeah.
Like,
Everywhere.
there's not really things that happen.
Stoked regardless.
Yeah.
It wasn't
Yeah.
just like a few. People were
There you go.
stoked regardless.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, blimp or no blimp, it's still a pretty cool event.
It's still pretty cool. I think everybody is, I'll just say this last thing, and there's much more of these blimp videos, but I think everybody right now in the zeitgeist of social media is ready for a UFO event.
Yeah.
So it was almost like the pot was boiling, and then, oh shit, we see this weird thing, and everybody,
Yeah. No, I think
we're
I think
primed.
that you got, like obviously you guys have been working in like a sector that's like very like has been niche, and like recent events and also just like the expansion like we've kind of been talking about of like just people's consciousness and understanding of what's going on. Like I think there are a lot more people who are open to the idea that like no, this is a real thing that is really out there.
Yeah, definitely.
You know what I mean? Like it's no longer like this thing where it's like real niche. It's like I don't know, a person on the planet who's like that I've talked to who'd be like, oh, I don't believe in that. I'm
Yeah.
like, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's like a pretty tiny idea to like, think that we're the only
That
life
group
in
of
this
people is
entire
smaller and smaller
expansive situation,
every day. What's next, man?
Yeah.
Let's see here.
Blimp.
There's blimp. Yep.
That's okay. People were excited.
This might have been the first one that I did post it. Okay, yeah. So, bro.
I mean, it does look like one.
It looks
And
strange.
it's like stopping traffic. Like,
Yeah.
look at this. Like,
Yeah.
everybody.
It was the stopping traffic really got me because in a lot of these,
Like,
and
people are getting
I'm
out of their cars.
and notice
Like,
how
it's-
nobody's freaking out, right?
everybody's pretty chill.
Everybody, like, they would have sat there. If it was a real UFO, all these people would be like, fuck, it's a UFO, right? And then they would have went home, ate dinner, talked about the UFO they saw on Netflix and chilled and fucking went to bed.
They would have been like, "Is Taco Bell still
like,
open?"
We saw it, and
Yeah.
now that was it, and it's
That was
over.
cool.
So it's there's a different sort of consciousness to it for sure.
It wasn't like a world of worlds where like people
Yeah.
were committing suicide
Wasn't
and
Mars
freaking
attacks.
out and like,
Wasn't
Yeah.
Mars attacks? Yeah.
yeah. Is that goddamn blimp?
Yeah, well, I thank you for you were the first comment I saw that you tagged me in it. Like, sorry, Jenkins, like it's a blimp. I was like, no, dude. Hey, there's your post.
Oh, great.
Oh.
Did you make this specifically for this little GIF?
Of course.
That's so
sick.
awesome.
Let's do that one last so we can lead into
okay.
Yeah,
all
cool.
of the rest of the stuff.
More blimp.
Blimp.
Okay, this is interesting.
This is interesting. Yeah.
Hints of life on Venus. Scientists detect phosphine. Phosphine molecules in high cloud decks. High cloud decks. They're super high, dude.
So what's interesting about this, right, is that the atmosphere of Venus is so acidic that phosphine shouldn't exist in the atmosphere. So, is it possible that something on the ground, biology on the ground, is creating this phosphine that's
like an
now raising into the atmosphere, and the atmosphere is getting rid of it, but something is constantly producing it to the point to where the atmosphere can't get rid of the phosphine quick enough. Ooh. So
maybe it's the terpenes. in the atmosphere.
Terpenes in the
The
atmosphere.
linalool.
Dude.
The linalool.
Drops of Jupiter.
And, you know, Venus is really hot. I think it's like 800 degrees or something on the surface. It's the second planet from the sun. Interesting fact, though, Mercury being the first planet is way cooler than Venus is.
It all depends on your atmosphere.
Yeah.
That's why a lot of people think, like, why is Mars? What's the big deal about Mars? Well, it all has to do with the atmosphere. I didn't know that until very recently. But the closer you get to the sun doesn't necessarily mean that it's hotter. Yeah, because it's so fucking far. It's just bigger in your sky, right?
Uh-huh.
I wonder how big
How wild.
How big do you think the sun looks on Venus?
Dude, it's
Can you even really
massive.
look at the sky? I mean, like with our stupid eyes, like could we even look up? Like, could you even look up? You would have to constantly be wearing like some sort of thing.
Dope shades that have like this.
Like they're like this thick and like.
Hell yeah.
So one interesting theory that's pretty cool is like, say maybe there was water at some point in time that things lived in on Venus. It started getting super hot, the water started to evaporate, whatever living organisms that were there, it was getting really, really hot. Maybe they burrowed underground, right? And so now life started to live and started to progress and evolve underground,
right?
And just like us.
Well, I mean, how hot are like the vents that are in like at the very deepest part of the ocean where like those like creatures are living? Like how hot
geothermal
is that?
vents?
Yeah. Like
too hot.
Right, for us. But like we're talking about 800 degrees here, right? Like how hot are those vents? How many degrees? Like I'm like, I don't know. If stuff can live at that, like
They found that
Life finds a way.
extremophiles live. They found some in like the cores of nuclear reactors.
What?
Yeah. So I mean, you're talking things can live in the wildest types of environments, right?
Yeah.
The Israelis spilt the water bears on the moon. And
the water bears,
yeah. Remember they spilt them on the moon, and so now they were worried about like
that, like the visual of like, oops.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So it's like a jar of water bear.
And so it's what is it? Scientists for like the past 10 years have been looking for things, and they call it agnostic biosignatures. So we used to think of this whole thing of like, okay, life needs this to exist, right? Well, that's here on Earth. What does life need to exist elsewhere in the universe? Maybe it doesn't necessarily need what we need here on Earth.
So narrow.
So it's these new agnostic biosignatures kind of getting rid of everything you think you know and having to really look outside the box. They find these things and it's like, whoa, these are partial building blocks for biology. Maybe not necessarily biology on Earth, but biology here. Yeah. That's a real possibility that there's stuff floating around, because when you get on Venus it's super hot, but then whenever you raise up into the atmosphere it cools to about like anywhere from like 30 to 60 degrees.
You know a lot about Venus, bro.
Yeah.
That's dope.
I mean, when you're a doctor scientist,
well,
no, I know, right?
So why couldn't life maybe exist in the upper atmosphere? Just a bunch of floating
like jellyfish
type things that maybe live in the upper atmosphere. You've got these massive like whale looking things maybe just floating through the atmosphere, maybe creating this phosphine that's in the upper clouds. And it's just biology. We just haven't seen it yet,
dude.
So
can't get in there.
I think the Russians landed on Venus and like took a couple snapshots and
no shit.
Yeah.
What?
And that was it. So yeah, there's actual photos of Venus
on there, all the way in there, inside the.
I'm pretty sure.
Gas in the cloud. Oh, he's gonna check it.
We're gonna
fact check.
We're gonna see what the Google say.
Fact check.
Photo. Yep, there it is.
Oh wow.
What? You really have like a camera survived?
Yep.
Whoa, dude.
What? I mean, yeah, like it looks like it could have been or could be inhabited by something.
It's pretty cool.
Like Phoenix, Arizona.
It does. That picture might be.
I don't think that one is it.
Well, there you go. That's how big the sun is.
Hey.
Wow.
That's how far away it is that it looks almost the same as on Earth. That's how far the sun is, dude.
Yeah, that's pretty nuts. Oh, and there's our buddies Mary and Arnold. Oh, there's an alien at the top. Look.
Oh my god, I love it.
That's super cool. Dude, so the Russians, man, they
did the thing.
How the hell?
They did it.
How the hell, man?
Yeah.
It's funny that like they chose Venus rather than Mars, and like we're so fixated on Mars. I guess maybe only Elon Musk is fixated.
But it seems more inhabitable probably than that.
Yeah.
You know, like if we're gonna go to a place and you know, like of the ones that are close enough to travel to, like reasonably. Yeah, I guess Mars makes more sense.
Yeah.
But
I think
I'm no expert.
Just you're an honorary doctor scientist.
I'm just
also like
much. I appreciate it.
If you think about it, like if you turned around and you wanted to go to Venus, like it's probably a way shorter trip too.
To Venus, school me because I can't remember.
Oh, to Venus.
The order of the planets:
Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto.
Oh, so Venus is further from us.
Yeah, Mercury, Sun, Mercury, Venus, Earth, and then like Mars, and then like Jupiter, mate. Yeah, I mean, I think it'd be a shorter trip. I think the distance between Venus and Earth is
maybe they're planning to do it there, closer. And we're going to do it on Mars, and like we'll just have separate planets.
We'll have to see.
We won't have to see the Russians. They'll be all the way.
I mean, this phosphine. I mean, these are the Venusians, dude. The Venusian. Remember the guy with the pyramid on his head who said that there was people living on Venus, in Venus itself? And
he was pretty
they're
confident.
Called the Venusians.
He was pretty confident that was that's what's going on.
Like that's reasonable. That's something just like where they're like, oh, let's just close the hatch and maybe
go down there.
I think the underground
apocalyptic film that's like that. Like something happens to the outside of.
Oh yeah,
the planet. I mean, there's probably several, but I have one in my brain right now that's like that's what they do, and everything seems to be working fine, other than it's a little bit like Big Brother, you know.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. But yeah, so that's super cool. I mean, that's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Obviously, they probably already know whether or not there's life out there. This is just the slow,
little drip,
getting people to adapt to the information of like. We're starting to see signs of possible life in the universe. Right. When 8 years ago, they were like, it's fucking impossible. Right? Yeah. It's so weird how like...
And it doesn't... I feel like people were saying that, like 8 years doesn't... It sounds like a lot longer, but I feel like... Or it sounds like it was not that long ago, but I feel like 8 years ago, 10 years ago, like we were living in the Stone Age as far as this topic.
Well, and it's plenty of time for
definitely.
a change in perception, right? Like especially with like how quickly information is moving right now. Like 8 years, 300 years ago, like it would have been totally different than right now. Like 8 years of information right now is like an unimaginable amount of information, you know? And so I could see that. It does feel much longer.
Yeah. It's almost like analogous to the older you get, the faster time gets because it's based off of your experience. So like when you're 5 minutes seemed like forever. And then now 5 minutes is like, I don't even know what I was doing for 5 minutes. Why am I not wearing a shirt? Where are my shoes? But I want to say one more thing. So this is there a possibility of this phosphine that could occur chemically rather than organically? I don't know.
Possibly, but the thing is that the phosphine is a chemical produced
byproduct.
It's like a byproduct of like biology. That's like when they say there's methane, right? Oh. Well, methane is created by decomposition.
Farts. Yeah.
Decomposition of biology. Right. That's what creates that chemical reaction to produce
carbon matter
and methane, right? So it's kind of the same deal. It's like, well, something's creating these biological signatures. Yeah. We know that they're in the atmosphere. Obviously, they're tiny little particles, but what's creating that?
Right.
You know?
So I love I know I'm harping on this one, but I can't remember who said it, but like digging underground, I think is like for seeing it. Oh yeah, you said like maybe there's something underground living, and then it's expelling that chemical.
It's very appropriate.
Very cool.
Expelling that chemical from an underground like geyser or something, and it's just like
right, like they have a
airway.
vent for their waste or their
their farts.
Whatever. Yeah, right. Yeah, whatever their
whatever
their off gas is. Right.
Yeah, that's our fart chimney. Yeah. Yeah, that's super cool. I feel like it's been done on Earth too. I don't know.
I mean,
so there's
well,
this.
I mean, we get really crazy about all the tunnels and the weird things that are underground.
Yeah,
in lots of places.
Did you see the article recently of this cave in Mexico where they dug into this little pocket of it's basically like quartz crystal or some kind of crystal that's been sealed off from air for who knows how long. And then there's little extremophiles like that, like you were saying, extremophiles, right? Fucking love that term. Living in there, and there's all different shapes and sizes. Everything's translucent because there's no light.
Yeah.
No one has eyes. And some speculated like because one species, and this is just one out of, they're still finding like however many, but there's one species that definitely is an ancestor of something that's on Earth right now, like on the planet. I don't know if it's like a pill bug or a roly-poly, whatever you call it, but at some point maybe there was air open and particles got in and bugs crawled in, but the majority of those dudes down there are like nothing like what the rest is on the planet.
Yeah.
Similar, but like in a lot of ways very different. Same.
Hasn't had the interaction that other species have had.
Yeah. So who's to say there's not some tiny little pocket the size of this on Venus, dude?
Yep,
totally.
dude. Yep. Yeah, that was pretty cool. That was definitely interesting.
Oh, thanks, Joe, for posting that.
You're welcome, dude.
I didn't watch this one.
I didn't watch this one either.
You wanna watch it?
Yeah, if it's like a
During an
couple
avalanche?
seconds.
It's 2 minutes 49 seconds, but
over there on the corner.
I see it.
Oh yeah.
Oh shit! All right. Swamp gas, dude.
Swamp gas. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
It's crazy that the guy's watching the
just
avalanche when like there's an alien UFO right there.
Maybe he's like, not even looking
He's
out in the
probably
distance
not.
at all. You know,
A lot of times too, like
that's how stuff
people
happens. Though.
people will claim that I didn't see anything, but then I looked at my video or I looked at my picture and it was in the developed film or it was on my camera and we didn't even see it. So that's very possible that could have happened too.
Yeah, a great example of that is the dude that was doing drone footage and like a really high frame rate over this canyon, and off of it's pretty flat land, and off of the distance
Bear Canyon, Utah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then like they went back to look at their footage and slowing it down from 60 frames or whatever down to 24 or 30, and they noticed this little white dot come from the mountain range all the way in front of the camera. This little white, and you really can't tell what the shape is because it's moving so fast.
Right.
So people are saying like it's a bird, but who can move the like from where he was from the mountain range? That distance is
even
insane.
a bird that can, I mean drones can move extremely fast. I mean, if he had one that was videoing at that speed and like he probably has a really good drone, like I mean it moves as fast as a bird, so like it would have been very like
they were able to track the distance that it traveled, and they were able to track the size of it as frame by frame as it came closer and closer, and it was legit. They tracked it. The thing was moving over 9,000 miles an hour.
Yeah, it was only like 10 frames that they caught it on or something like that. So had it that just doesn't, like, the math doesn't. It's so fast.
It's going
crazy,
super fast.
Yeah.
But yeah, some people like took the time to like break that down.
Yeah,
they visited the site and they were like, okay, so the trees are this tall.
Right.
The mountain is this high. We noticed that it came over the mountain range and then flew down into the trees and then came up and shot off to the side. People were like, yeah, it's a bug. But then after you put all these lines and you break down the film the way that they broke it down, they tracked it. And it was moving over 9,000 miles an hour. Yeah. It was hauling ass. And that's slow.
Is it?
That's slow.
That's slow. I think they said it was like over 80 G's it pulled.
Yeah,
that's pretty ridiculous. That's so fast.
Yeah. It's either got to, I don't know.
Which is kind of consistent, though, because if you listen to the way that, like, Fravor talks about the way that this thing maneuvered, how fast it moved, how it went from 25,000 feet down to sea level in, like, less than a second, it was moving at almost that same rate of speed.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now that the Tic Tac stuff came out, if you go back and look at the video, you're like, that looks like the Tic Tac that they caught.
It does. The Bear Mountain one? Yep. And there's like some warping to it, but yeah, I would say it looks. Have you seen the Tic Tac?
It's almost like it's warping the space around it.
But now that I've watched so many things on your thing, I'm like, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not the one, but I'm pretty sure I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. So was it like the Pentagon and everybody released? Yeah. Oh, interesting thing I found out recently. Let me.
Oh, you got some notes. Oh my god. You don't even need it in front of them. There's like 2 words on that thing.
I don't even think it says anything. I don't even think it says a thing.
Can you read
drawing of a hot dog, dude.
Okay. A-tip, right? A-tip's like...
That's all that's written on there.
So A-tip's this huge thing that like everybody's talking about right now. A-tip is this program, if you're not aware, A-tip is a program that the government was using to investigate UFOs and these craft and try and figure out what's going on. Well, it was a completely hidden...
aerial threat identification program.
Yeah,
right?
advanced aerial threat identification.
Advanced.
Ooh, I think you're right.
Advanced aerospace threat identification.
There is 2 A's.
Yes. Advanced aerospace. So, okay. So this is interesting. Apparently,
read your notes, dude.
Let me read my notes real fast. All 3 of these words. I just couldn't remember it, right? AAWSA. And there might be a P at the end of it. Okay. Have you heard of this? AAWSA?
S-A? Allsass? Allsa? Sweat ass?
Okay, so Advanced Aerial Weapon Systems Application is ATIP was a sub-program of this AAWSA.
Oh.
So Advanced Aerial Weapon Systems Application. So this was already a thing, and ATIP came out of this other program.
Right, as like a research program.
So we're all hearing about ATIP, but now I'm extremely interested in what this weapon systems application program was. Dude. The reason that
why there would even be a program for that. If
the reason that it's I think why there's so much confusion on whether or not is it aerial or is it aerospace.
Ooh.
Is there a program or is there no P for program? So when you go and you request a FOIA, which is Freedom of Information Act, from the government, if you put AAWSAP and there's no P, they're not going to send you anything. They know exactly what you're talking about, but they're not going to send it to you. Same thing with the ATIP. If you put Advanced Aerial, threat identification program, they're going to be like, I know what you're talking about. That's not what it's called. Denied. They're not going to send you any information. They're that stingy about it. Right. You have to get every word correct, or you have to spell the acronym exactly the way it needs to be spelled in order to get it. And I think it's on purpose that there's so much confusion on what is this actually called. Is it aerospace? Is it aerial? Is there a P? Is there no P? Like, what's the deal with that?
That's called bureaucracy, right? Like they try to.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Have you ever tried to get like a new license in a different state? Like I've never.
Don't even have a Texas license because it is that hard. Like my Colorado license, like I just push renew online and they just send me a new one in the mail. So,
that's dope.
That's
I
sick.
mean, they need like
you're gonna get
all of my information. They have things. They need things. I don't even know where they like. I don't even have access to certain things they need. Texas is particularly hard to get.
We're gonna need your blood type
here.
Yeah,
no, I'm like
Texas is like what kind of pistol do you own? It's like a required field.
You're like, I have a 22, and they're like, you ain't driving. What a pussy.
You can't own a car.
You can't fire a real gun, you can't drive a car.
Oh my god.
Oh, that was great, dude. But yeah, man, so I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Apparently, it's like my source said that this source came directly from Luis Elizondo, confirmed that AAWSAP was a thing and that ATIP was a sub-program that came out of it, and then he started to head up the ATIP program, and that's how he knew about the other program.
Yeah.
So it's like, so you guys are talking about ATIP, and you fuckers are still lying about the original program that it started out with. So that's just like a whole nother new...
It's almost like...
yeah, it's like a whole nother new thing.
Look over here.
That,
Not it.
yeah.
It makes sense. Like, you start out as like a weapons thing, right? And then if it gets too hairy or people start paying attention to it, you want to start something nefarious or just general, which is a phenomenon, and then put a little bit of money in there and then have the media go there instead of looking at your actual... What you're really looking for is like, what the fuck weapons do they have, dude?
Yeah.
What do they got, though?
Yep.
How many slingshots do they have on that thing?
Yeah. It'd be awesome, a UFO with a giant slingshot that comes out
Oh my god.
and it shoots gooey shit at you.
Oh, it's so sticky!
I can't move.
Oh, it stinks! Oh,
Oh no! It slimed me.
no! Slime, dude.
What is this? Oh, slapped ham.
I love that logo, by the way. It's amazing.
Slamming ham.
We saw
that's
that
the
little kid.
the Dobie thing.
Yeah, Dobby, dude.
Dobby.
Dobby. I don't know. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, what do you think about this,
Sorry,
Bailey?
everyone.
I mean,
Oh shit!
What do you think
Have you
about
seen
these
that
people
one?
having sex?
I have seen it. Yeah, no, I've seen it. I mean, I don't know. It does walk like at the end here, like the way the knees look, like that is kind of bizarre.
That's a scrawny little kid.
I mean, if that's this, I mean, that's like a really, really lanky, skinny kid.
Yeah.
Like, kids that age are not generally that lanky. I mean, also those cameras are like very, like they're very not like the perception. No, that's
The
not the right word.
quality.
But like, yeah, like the whole deal with like those outdoor cameras, is like kind of
Yeah.
whatever. So it could be very skewed for sure.
Right.
It looks like it's a kid throwing a tantrum. Honestly,
He has boxers on his head, dude. I did this when I was a kid. This is what something I would do.
He's just like.
Yeah.
It looks like he's wearing a onesie and like something over his head.
It's strange. Definitely strange.
Oh, that's our music.
It's our band.
That's our bang.
It's our band, man.
It's me. It's you.
Yeah.
This meme.
Yeah.
Oh my
Puts his
gosh.
glasses
Love
down.
that. So I don't know if you know this, Bailey, but yeah, we have this thing called
Me and Ben started a company.
Yeah.
What's it called?
masturbation propulsion technology.
Yeah, and it's by Bolskin Company and Co. And we research masturbation propulsion technology, and the idea behind it basically is that
I mean, I got it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know,
It's pretty self-explanatory.
It's like, look at the battery percentage.
Yeah, no, I mean, it'd be off the charts,
2092.
probably. Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah, I mean,
man. Yeah, it's a sister company to our other company called To the Farts Academy of Arts and Science.
Yeah. Oh, dude, sad news. I actually had to nix that for a little bit.
Oh, yeah, we're cutting, right?
I'm cutting down on expenses. It was like $40 a month for a joke. I mean, it was good for like a couple months.
for a joke.
It was an $80 joke or however, whatever. It was worth it though.
It was great. It was great.
So this one, dude, that's somebody getting lucky right there, right?
It
That's not
is.
an alien with 4
Obviously.
legs.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
that's
You
some.
can see the dude's head, but her eyes are.
It's a 4-legged, 2-headed lady. Dude, a fire tornado.
Tornado, bro.
What?
That's pretty
intense. Oh yeah, this is great.
Dude, your comment.
Dude, it's the world's largest sperm.
Also, like, how do you, like, who found that?
It's 100 million years old. They found 100 million year
What
old
am I
giant
even
sperm.
looking at? What is the thing on the left?
It's like an ancient cephalopod
Okay, and they think that the image on the right, it belonged to the cephalopod?
Yes. Apparently, their courting and mating lasted really long time. And it passed this massive sperm. It's like the size of like a good bass. And it's
a good bass? No way.
It's like a good
Was
bass.
Was it really that big?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I don't know, but
okay.
dude, it'd be like having your own baby, like, and then like putting it inside your lady, and then she has to have like a baby too. Like you both have babies technically because that thing is massive. So yeah. I hope nobody finds my house in 100 million years.
Oh my god.
Chupacabra.
Chupacabra. Or a skinny coyote.
Yeah, that's a very skinny coyote.
It is. Yes.
Yeah, talk about this one. This one, I didn't...
Yes.
Yeah.
So this, they just released that Russia and China have officially launched direct energy weapons. They're on satellites, which means with these highly, high energy, direct energy weapons, you can manipulate the weather. You could actually cause small earthquakes.
It says that in this document?
Not in this document, but there's a lot of stuff that you can read about on it.
Like DARPA and all that.
Curiously enough, you can start fires.
Oh, shit.
You can hit people with it. So we're looking at a whole completely different type of warfare that's inevitable at this point. Because before then, we really haven't put anything that was like war-worthy, except for like, what is it, the rods of God?
Yeah.
It was just like those massive poles that they would just drop from the upper atmosphere, and it would slowly fall and then hit stuff, and it's like this massive solid rod that we have up in space, and if you drop it, it's like 5 nuclear bombs going off without the nuclear fallout. But it still messes stuff up just because just because of the impact. But
we're ruining somebody's birthday for sure.
Definitely.
Probably a few birthdays.
But these, which is kind of interesting, they're up in space, direct energy weapons. I mean, California has fires all the time. I'm not saying this is part of a direct energy weapon kind of thing, but we got them in Washington.
Oh my gosh.
We got them in Oregon. We got them in Colorado. Like, they're friggin' everywhere.
What if it's somehow related to the QAnon thing, and they're just getting rid of Hollywood? That's what they're doing.
Oh my God.
That's okay. It's kind of interesting.
I'm reaching here.
That's kind of interesting.
But
why not ask the question, right? Why not ask the question? Maybe somebody knows the answer.
I don't know, dude. Call in 818.
I mean, if we're gonna be honest, bro. I mean, Oregon and California fucking sinning all the time, bro. Like, that's just like, I mean, that's what happens when you sin, bro.
You just turn on, you get on fire.
And that's what happens also when you don't take care and clean your forests. So, I'm not blaming anybody.
Oh, I thought you said floors.
No, forest.
Got it.
I did think he said floors too, I was like, I don't know what that means, but I like it's cheeky. But the forest thing does make more sense. And yes, clean your forests. Yeah. That's a good PSA to put out. Clean your forests.
Yeah. And it's just insane right now. Like gender reveal party is responsible for thousands of acres of stuff catching on fire, people's homes, their pets. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh my God. I mean, the electrical company
party on the planet. Like, is there a worse party you could be invited to?
I don't know.
Tell me if you were like, tell me a worse party that you could be invited to, and you'd be just like, then that's the worst one. I
can't think of an actual party. I can make up a joke, but that's probably got to be the most annoying one to go to.
Vogon poetry party.
Okay. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Did you say vegan or Vogon?
Vogon.
What's Vogon?
Vogon. Remember the Vogons? They have the worst poetry in the entire universe.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
You would literally wish death upon yourself because it's so bad. But yeah, man. I mean, there's a lot to this whole fire thing.
Yeah.
But now we have a new option. You can set shit on fire from space.
Wow.
Jesus. It's like a big magnifying glass,
Yeah. I mean, technically, I think
Sid's just up there.
Yeah.
Toy Story reference. Hell yeah.
I think I think honestly this is stuff that we've probably had for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
I know Philip had said I think it's probably something we had in the 80s, which is if we're looking at like secret space program stuff, how they were already launching things into space and maybe possibly even building things on the moon as early as the 50s.
Yeah.
That doesn't surprise me one bit.
Yeah.
I think actually like the article and the idea of it in my head is like, well, yeah, no shit. Like, wait, you didn't already have that? You know, kind of.
I think we're a little biased because we know people that and we spoke to people that kind of know about it, and we've like speculated for a long time, and it just makes sense to. I don't know.
Yeah,
you're just connecting dots. That's good.
Yeah.
It's reasonable.
But man. I mean, I think that's extremely dangerous, right? I mean, like, space is so big. What the fuck are you fighting over? Like, what are you fighting over?
This is our ball.
This is my space.
MySpace.
Well, this
It's
is
a pretty good platform. Our new sponsor.
I saw this meme the other day where it was like, remember MySpace when all Tom ever wanted was just to be your friend?
It was a simpler time.
Yeah, simpler time for sure. Yeah. Oh man, but yeah, man. I mean, I think it's just terrible. It's just awful because it's like we kill each other enough on this planet.
I mean, it's a lot of power.
And now it's like we have stuff in space that can like kill you too.
Yeah.
And there's already enough stuff in space that could possibly wipe out this planet. Why must we help kill each other off? It just doesn't make any sense. But I think
I don't like it.
I think if something else is possibly watching, hopefully it'll just take those satellites.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, right. Just
all it have to
unplug the
do is
battery.
just go up to it and poke the satellite, and there it goes. It's off.
Yeah.
To the next planet, or just
Spinning.
off into space for eternity.
It's literally all you have to do is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my god, that's awesome. Pin taken. Oh, that was it.
Well, this week Lewis posted nothing about UFOs or aliens. That's so funny. Listen to the song with DMX in it. It's fine.
Oh my god, love it.
Oh, that's so good, man. I love it. Well, that was the Facebook stuff, man.
You want to go back?
Go back. Oh yes, to her post, so we can answer those questions and we can start getting into this. All right, guys. Now for the meat and taters. That's your nickname now.
I like it.
Meat
Yeah,
and
I'm fine with
taters.
that. That's good.
Bailey's gonna be here, and she's gonna
I'm gonna answer all your questions.
she's gonna talk at us.
There we go. So I did a post, and some people posted some questions. So I think that's a good place to start. We can just kind of answer. I think
Definitely.
Somebody named William had a couple of questions.
Scroll down to the questions.
Oh yeah.
He's all about
It's
that.
okay,
GIF.
he's
He
busy.
loves that GIF.
He's busy. Okay, I think William had like questions, and then other people had sort of similar questions. So let's see.
Can you read that, Ben?
Okay. Oh, now we can read it.
Boom.
Okay, so William Townsend. Hi, William. He wants to know. Let's see. He has to be drug tested in his line of work, so he wants to know if using our product, if he would have any issues with that. And then has a second question. What's the main difference between CBD and THC? So, to answer your first question, William, so our products that we carry at Redeemer Small Batch are all full spectrum, and I'll get into like a little bit more of the science and all of those things, but the most important thing is that all of our products do carry a very small, less than 1% of THC. The actual legal limit is 0.3% of THC, so all of our products do have less than a single percent of THC, but it is in there. And so I always advise people the likelihood of it showing up is low, but that, you know, you could always have a false positive the same way that you could with anything. And so I always advise like that our products are not for you if you're drug tested. What you should do, William, is if you do want to try CBD, is find a really good company that you trust. And if you want some help with that, I'd be more than happy to send you to a few places. But you want to get something that's called an isolate, which is what they do is they isolate the CBD compound, and it has no other chemicals whatsoever in it. It's just CBD. You don't have any other cannabinoids. They strip it So they strip everything down to just that single cannabinoid, and that would be safe for you as long as you're getting it from a reputable source. That's the most important thing. And as long as they have COAs and you can look at the COA and it shows 0 THC, you should be safe. And like I said, I'd be more than happy to send you to a couple of different places, but you definitely, quality is key, because there's a lot of people who have false information out there and all that kind of thing.
So if he has like a really good gas station by his house,
right? No, that's where he should go. Yeah, definitely. Just like grab the thing that's in the case. It's like $3. Yeah, that's the one for you. His second question is what the main difference. So CBD and THC, the number one most important difference is that THC is I don't like the word psychoactive, because technically all compounds like affect us.
Yeah, even coffee does.
Right. And so like I don't like that term. So I like the term euphoric instead. So THC is euphoric, and that's what gives everybody the high. That's what everybody.
I'm feeling pretty damn euphoric right now.
Yeah, right.
I couldn't read earlier, you guys.
you were having a little trouble.
That's just because I'm bad at reading. Has nothing to do with it.
But THC is the euphoric effect, so it's a thing that's kind of gonna give you that mind alteration and make you feel high. Right. CBD, there's no euphoric effect.
Yeah.
So you don't have any sort of mind altering in that way, and it really, when you think about it, like there's a lot of therapeutic effects to THC, which we can definitely talk about, which are great for a lot of different ailments. But CBD, I think of it more as therapy for all kinds of different things, from depression and anxiety to seizures and Alzheimer's, so it kind of is a whole span. And so I like to think of CBD as more therapeutic, but it's certainly, you guys have tried the product, and you guys have, tried the rollies, which is a similar thing to smoking, cannabis and
CB doobies.
Yeah, the CB doobies, that's right. And you do get more of a relaxed, just kind of, you just feel good, like it takes away kind of like all the things that you don't, I like to think of it that like CBD removes things that you didn't even know you had, right? Like maybe we're only, in our 30s or whatever, but like you don't really think about having back pain, and then you start taking CBD and you're like, that's weird, you just all of a sudden feel more limber, or you're sleeping better, or these kind of things. So it's the things you don't notice that you're struggling with, because those things come on like slowly, chronic pain,
you start to build up over time.
Or you live with headaches. Like lots of people have chronic headaches and migraines, and they just live, that's their like state of being, you know what I mean? And they don't really, and it's come on slow, and they don't really realize that that's the state that they're in until they're no longer there.
Yeah. And so it's almost like the opposite of a placebo, unless if that's the main topic of how you sell it is like we which I don't think you do, is like, this is what
I don't know what you're about to say, so
we can
I don't sanction this,
but what we've said is like, I have my anxiety, I have pretty anxiety. It's honestly helped. I have trouble sleeping. I mean, I am on other medication that's recent, but I've always had it, and now that it's a little heightened, it kind of combats that, where I'm not sitting there thinking of this dumb thing that I said in third grade for 2 hours before I go to bed.
Right.
Like that's helped me.
The racing thoughts at night, for sure. That's a huge thing. CBD for sleep it's tremendous. And I started out, like, the way that this sort of company happened and came to me is I was also a skeptic, and my grandfather was sick. He'd been sick a long time, and my grandfather actually is an ex-football player. He played for the Denver Broncos and the Miami Dolphins in the 60s, like 63 to 68. Yeah. No, he's a big deal. He was the first player to get a signing bonus, which is a big deal. Cool. It's a big deal. He played offensive and defensive tackle. But as you can imagine, playing in the 60s, there wasn't sports medicine, all that stuff. So he was real banged up, especially as you age, like he had a lot of pain and those kind of things. So he was on pain regimens for decades. I mean, honestly, like, I don't know, like, not to the point that it was like debilitating or a problem, but that, like, that's how, pharmaceuticals, like, that's how people manage those things. And he had a defibrillator and all of these things, and as he got really sick, and he actually died a year ago. But when everything was really rough, like, he was having complications with medications, messing with all of his systems.
Right.
And so my uncle had been growing hemp and doing this thing, and he was like, all right, like he has to get off the pharmaceuticals because it's like it's not working and it's making him worse. And so he put him on CBD, pain free. Like somebody who had been on pharmaceuticals, opioids for an extended period of time, and not like in a way that was abusive, but like, you know, you're taking whatever it is every day. Like
you'll take whatever you can to
you know, and like that, like what was prescribed, not like over what was prescribed, but what was prescribed. And like going from that and any type of opioid use, like even if you hurt your knee or something, like you still, like you have 30 pills or whatever, you still have like a coming off of that feeling, you know, like you're kind of edgy and like all those things, like just from having them for a month, you know, with Oxy or something like that, Vicodin. And he went from a prolonged, you know, pain management with pharmaceuticals to CBD, like this, like immediately.
Damn.
And then had no pain, which to me was just like, poof, you know, it just like totally blew my mind. And I was still like, kind of like, oh, you know. And my mom was like, and my uncle has been growing hemp for a few years, and at our, you know, my family has a farm in Colorado, and my mom was like, just here, like have some, take it, try it. And I was like, this is just, I was just like, it's gonna be bullshit, you know, like this is like, you know, I know what cannabis is, I know what weed is, you know, whatever. And had obviously dabbled in that kind of thing. And
wait, you told me you smoked weed before?
Only once. It was one time, and you know, I hated it. No.
So you, Bill Clinton, and Eric Mitchell did not inhale.
I didn't inhale. No, I didn't inhale. So, but
there's 3 people we know that smoke weed now.
But yeah, you know, and I started taking it. I was very skeptical. Like even like that was like stuff that I was like, wow, that's pretty big. And then started taking it myself, and I had been having arthritic hand pain for like an extended period of time, to the point that I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to go to the doctor. And I'm 31. I'm 31.
Me too.
Now I'm confident. No, I'm 31, and having that type of arthritic hand pain at my age, just like I didn't want to go to the doctor because I'm like, I don't want to be on Humira, or like I do not want to take something start now, like it's way too early. And I started taking the CBD, and I didn't notice that right away, but the sleep was immediate. Like I started taking the 50 milligram at night, and I'm like, oh my
That's
God.
me.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I started out, I took the smaller dose.
The 25? Or
I would take 2 of,
two of the 25s?
2 of the
What you got there?
10 milligrams.
Really? 20 milligrams. So you're taking 20 milligrams for sleep.
And then when I went up to that, because I was saved, because I knew there wasn't as much as in here, so I just like tried just one of these out, the 50.
Is that the 50?
Yeah, and then dude, like
Lights.
but it doesn't like
No,
it doesn't make you
it's
pass
not
the
a
fuck out.
It's not a sedative.
Yeah,
and I
it's
think
not-
like that's
doesn't make you
that's
groggy.
No, it's
That's
just
a
like
misconception. It's not a sedative. It's not like you're taking Klonopin and like you're gonna drive while you're asleep or like anything crazy, you know. But it takes away all the things that keep you awake.
yeah.
It's so crazy because like when people talk about like CBD and stuff, it's like I almost like have to like compare it to like, you know how like nobody can explain to you what getting a tattoo feels like?
Yes.
It's like the exact same thing. And like
Totally.
it's hard to explain to you what CBD is doing,
And it's
but
different for everybody.
it's fucking magical.
Well, and we can get into the science of that and like why that is. But I, you know, with the sleep was the thing I noticed right away. I was just like, oh, just like slept, and I thought I slept pretty good. Like I thought I slept well, and then I started taking the CBD, and I'm like, whoa, like I'm sleeping so good, and you don't wake up groggy. Like, and in fact, I find myself waking up like earlier than I would have, and like
Refreshed.
I can't go back to sleep because I'm like I've had my 7 hours or whatever it was, and like I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
You know, and so it really has helped my sleep cycle so much. But the next thing, like after like a week of taking it, all of a sudden, like, not that I had been thinking about it, but all of a sudden I'm like, that's weird. Like my hands just don't hurt. Like it's because I'd have to warm them up in the morning. If I hit my knuckles on like something hard, I would like have stingers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, like that was just gone.
Damn.
And so for me, those were the experiences that I had initially with CBD. Like after a week of use, and then I was like, okay, like I'm invested in whatever's happening to me. I'm invested in what I saw with my grandfather, and then, you know, everything just kind of like my uncle basically was like, look, there's this opportunity here. He's been farming for a while, and we're generational farmers. I mean, my family's been in farming for as far back as anybody knows anyone, you know, and the crops have changed, but the dedication's kind of always been the same. Like that's
cool.
You know, agriculture is a really cool thing. And like in 2018, you know, when they legalized hemp farming, you know, for agricultural use, like that's it was really cool. And so that's kind of how I got involved in it. And when it happened to me, then I was like, what is this, you know? And so I did so much research, and that's kind of it's what my life is now, you know, like that's everything that I'm doing is just, I'm so involved in it now. And obviously we started a whole company, so it's like our thing. But
that's so awesome. I love that.
But that's how it happened. You know, I saw that with my grandfather, and then it was like, you know, my family, we just kind of came together on it at his memorial, and it was like, you know, there's this opportunity for this thing to close the circuit, you know, because what happens, farmers do all the work. Like, I don't, you know, with anything, you know, like these farmers are growing these crops, this hemp, and it's backbreaking work. I don't know if you know anything about farming, but it's tremendous. And it takes 9 months to grow these things. You have to do everything perfect, and it's not everywhere, but like in Colorado, the rules are really strict. You know, everything is organically grown in Colorado, basically, because those are the rules, you know. I mean, lots of states are like that, but everything's a gray area, and not everywhere is the same. So Colorado's great. That's where our farm is, and it's a great place, you know, like if you buy any CBD products at all, you can kind of trust stuff coming out of Colorado, because they have really strict rules about at least the farming. Yeah. You know, honestly, they have strict rules about the whole thing, and you as the processes go, you know, you get into different things, but the farming, you know, they're really strict about that stuff being organic. They can't use chemicals and those kind of things on it, so you can kind of trust that the hemp was really well taken care of coming out of there. And
you had said something really cool about how many people actually put their hands on the product before you receive it.
Yeah, so it's like less than 20, to be honest, like from the time that like my family, so the farm honestly is run by 3 people, which is my uncle and my cousins, his 2 boys. Yeah. And then they have this amazing ranch hand that they've had forever, Alejandro. And the 4 of them basically run an 80-acre farm. 80 acres of hemp.
Alejandro.
Damn.
80 acres. It is. It's like 300 to 350,000 pounds of hemp a year. Man. So like, think about that, right? Like that's tremendous amount. That's a crazy amount, and it's a very small team, and then the extraction is done by a very small team of people, and then it literally comes right back to us, and we do the distribution. So we kind of have hands in all aspects, which is great because we can really guarantee the quality. You know, like I didn't have to use a broker. I didn't send it to some guy I don't know who's like doing the extraction. You know, like his name's Adam. He's their family friend. You know, like my uncle knows them really well, and it's like they really have like a really close friendship, and so everything is in the family basically, you know. And so that's a really cool thing, because a lot of hemp products are white labeled, which means like somebody's growing the hemp, some broker buys it all, and then somebody extracts it, and then somebody sells it to, you know, Joe, who decides that he wants to start a CBD brand. Joe decides he wants to do that, and so he just buys a white labeled product from whoever, and doesn't know where the farm is, doesn't know where the hemp comes from, doesn't know the extraction process, you know, those kind of things. And so it's a very small closed circuit, and that's awesome. It makes a big difference, and you can taste it and see it in the product, you know, like absolutely. You can. And I would say that about not just our farm, but, you know, any CBD product that is coming directly from a farm to you, that's the best way you can get it, because you can trust that, like, the number of people's hands that are in the pot, so to speak, is very small, you know?
That's super cool.
Yeah.
I was curious too, like, just thinking about farming and how awesome that is, but like the generational thing, I thought it's interesting, like the infrastructure and the know-how and
well, there's institutional knowledge that you cannot read in a book. Like, you can go to school for horticulture, or go to school for these things, or ag science, and you can go to school for that. There's something that is different about growing up on a farm and living there every day and learning to work on machinery. And, you know, agricultural science is actually I think it's one of the coolest branches of science in the world, because all of that stuff is really designed by farmers. Like, all farmers are engineers, they're all mechanics, they're tremendously talented people. Yep. Like, they create their own machinery. They're like, okay, this is a problem that I'm having in this process that I have. Like, for example, I own a tree, let's say I own a tree farm, and then we do trimming, right? Because you have to make sure that the trees are a good shape and whatever, and then you've got the clippings of all of the branches that are all over the ground. Well, we start out picking those up by hand, and then maybe you rake them, but then maybe you're like, I can design a machine, right? I can add something to my tiller, right, or something to pick these up, you know, and then that's how farming equipment gets made.
Yeah.
And it's pretty cool because it's literally like driven by the needs and the designs of the farmers, and that's a really cool thing. And there's not enough appreciation for farmers in general, but I think in hemp they are exceptionally undervalued because the care that plant needs is so much, and it has to be like so perfect. It has to be harvested perfectly at the right time, and there's a lot of things that can go wrong, and they're out there every day, and they kind of get the short end of the stick, so to speak, where they do all the work in the landscape, like all the money's in the retail, right? For example,
right? Yeah.
They're getting 3 cents for something that somebody's selling for $300, or that's an exaggeration, but so that's something that like in our system is kind of neat because all the money and all of we're able to give what we need to give to the people who deserve it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
And like, that's not always how it is. They're just selling it to like a extractor, for example. Like an extractor is buying a bunch of stuff that's being white labeled and sold to who knows who. And that's the one thing it's one thing about like the growing process in the industry anyway, that like it'd be nice to like be able to help create a shift, because the farmers really, they do so much work and it's expensive, and
absolutely,
and it's all day, they're out there for 16 hours a day for all year, doing what they're doing. And when they're not,
it's not your typical 9-to-5er.
Right, and when the crops aren't in the ground, they're working on machinery and getting ready to do it again, and it's a different kind of work. I think it's rewarding in the way that you can tangibly see what you're doing,
Oh, definitely.
and you're at work and all those kind of things, outdoors, but all those kind of things. But yeah, it's hard. It's definitely hard.
So you had mentioned earlier, I think it'd be cool for you to explain isolates and full spectrum, and what is the difference in y'all's full spectrum.
So all of our products are full spectrum, which means that we don't remove anything so we use a zero solvent extraction, which is unique. A lot of people use butane. There's a lot of different ways to do extractions. CO2, people talk about that being the purest form, but you're still introducing another chemical compound.
And oil is what we're extracting, right?
I saw this dude named Brian use butane to extract. He made some.
Well, the butane, and it's legal. It's legal, and it's like in certain amounts. They say that it's not dangerous to humans, but like they're still using butane to do those things. In a lot of cases, it's one of the cheapest ways to do it.
Yeah, and it catches on fire.
And they
probably not a good thing.
I mean, I haven't seen a facility like where they do that, but yeah, I imagine that it's more dangerous than ours, which we use a patented process. That's a zero solvent extraction. So basically, it's water, coconut or MCT oil, depending on if it's the capsules or the tincture, because for the drops they use MCT because it doesn't harden like at colder temperatures, but for the capsules we use coconut oil because it does get hard at colder temperatures, and that's important because the capsules then they don't leak.
Yeah. Ooh. Okay.
That's good,
so as long as you're not like storing it in the sun and it's kind of like you're keeping it in a cool, dry place, it'll generally be solidified.
And everybody likes coconut oil, man.
Yeah, they do, and it's
hard.
Yeah, and it doesn't taste like coconut oil. You guys have well, it's in a capsule anyway, so you can't really taste it anyway. But yeah, so it's the either oil, water, and the hemp, and they're cooked slow and low for like 4 days,
like a brisket.
Down
in really small batches, and then they all, and what's cool about the way that, so it's a really old school way kind of of making canna butter, but what's cool about it is as you're doing that, all of the impurities, if there are any, there shouldn't really be any, and everything is kind of tested before it would go into this process anyway. So, but all impurities when you're doing this kind of process chemically get stuck in the water, and then you remove the water, and the impurities are all in the water, right? And then you're left with the oil that's been infused basically by the hemp. And so it's a super pure, super clean, easy way to do it. And you don't have to introduce any other chemicals. And what's cool about it is it keeps all the terpenes. All the terps. You keep all the terps. Guy. It keeps all of the cannabinoids. So instead of having like an isolate, which would be just, like they would strip everything away and it would be just CBD, you're getting the the legal amount of THC, which is 0.3%. You're getting CBD, you're getting CBG, you're getting CBN, CBC. I mean, there's over 100 cannabinoids in the hemp plant. And that depends on variety and those kind of, it fluctuates depending on variety, and they're all at different percentages. CBD being the highest in hemp. So full spectrum is important, and it's kind of generally agreed upon that it's the most viable, and it works the best because of the entourage effect, which is it's a term that was coined. Basically, it means that all of the cannabinoids are working best when they're working together. So like when you isolate just the CBD molecule, it's not working as well because it doesn't have his buddies to like gas him up, you know what I mean? And so they're working better together.
It's almost like you've heard this term junk DNA when people are looking at this is a very specific example.
That's okay.
But junk DNA, when people are trying to there was this little Atacama mummy. It was, I don't know if you've heard of this. It was this tiny little skeleton.
I'm not, but I'm listening.
It's pretty cool. It's like this little 9-inch skeleton that they found in the Atacama desert.
Okay.
I hope I'm saying that right.
Yeah.
But it's like fully grown, like based off of all the tests they've done. It's this tiny little full-grown person that's like this big.
Wow.
And they've done DNA tests on it, and it basically comes back as human DNA, but with all this extra junk DNA in it. And they've also, tons junk DNA is just not in that specific test, but there's just certain variables that scientists that are into DNA testing and all that stuff deem as not important, but
sure,
it's kind of I'm just making that connection in my brain that they are important. What if you didn't have that? Then you'd have just like
No, it's interesting to think about it in that way, that like if humans were missing like an entire now we're talking about DNA and I'm gonna mess this up, but you're missing an entire a section, right? You're probably gonna come out a little funky. I mean, maybe you'll still work and you'll still be fine, but
you might have two noses,
right? But you're not optimal, right? You're not at your optimal state, and so there's and there's reason. I mean, I think that all of the different kinds or the different extractions that are done are important. So the isolate's really important for somebody like William, who asked that question earlier, because he is drug tested, it's really important for him that he doesn't have any THC at this time for him, right? That makes sense. And some people are really THC averse, or they have bad reactions. It's rare, but like some people really just like can't handle THC, and for them, there is an option for them, which I think is amazing and really important. And it's not something that we provide, but there's lots of great companies that do provide that, and it allows them to partake, and they probably need to take more. Like maybe 10 milligrams works for you for a certain thing, and maybe with the isolate they'd have to take a little bit more because they're not getting that full cocktail of cannabinoids and terpenes and all that stuff working together. And then broad spectrum is kind of in the middle, and broad spectrum is kind of a maker's blend, if you want to think of it that way, where they kind of pick and choose what terpenes or what cannabinoids they want in the mixture. A lot of times they're THC free, but not always, so you kind of have to be careful and make sure that you're getting a reputable source and all those kind of things. But they kind of pick and choose, and they do that to kind of, they can tailor them for certain things, or like maybe they have tailored CBN and CBD or whatever for sleep, or CBG and something for gastro stuff, or whatever those things are, so they can kind of tailor them that way. So broad spectrum is cool, but you're still stripping a lot away, you know what I mean? And so the efficacy of things can be altered that way. So all of our products are full spectrum. As far as I'm concerned, I haven't noticed that there's any reason for them not to be. And like I said, you're getting a lot of extra stuff. You're getting the chlorophyll, you're getting the vitamin E, you're getting the antioxidants.
Chlorophyll?
Yeah,
chlorophyll.
Right. But that's why all of our stuff looks different. It's green.
Yeah, it is.
When you look at
that, it looks like Ninja Turtle goo.
Totally, yeah. But it's green, and that's why that's not removed. So you're getting like everything that nature intended, like everything that this plant intended for you to take in is present in the oil that we put in our products.
I love that, man. I love that, because cool. Doesn't the human body has more cannabinoid receptors than any other type of receptor?
That's true. Well, in certain areas. like in the brain, for example. So this is, so we have an entire bodily system called the endocannabinoid system, or the ECS. Ooh. It's very interesting. So like the same way that you have a digestive tract or a system, or you have a endocrine system, you have an entire system called the endocannabinoid system, and we create our own endocannabinoids
Check your notes.
There we go. The notes.
Adamantium.
I'm gonna mess it up. There are two. They stimulate two different receptors. There's CB1 and CB2 receptors in the system.
Sounds like a Star Wars droid.
Yeah, right. The CB2 receptors are in your periphery, so they're like in your gut. They're in your skin. They're in your muscular tissue, so they kind of are touching everything, and like your immune system, that kind of thing. And then the CB1 receptors are in the brain, and they modulate different things, right? And so CBD, I think the main thing that it's been, the ECS, the main thing that it is that it does is it creates homeostasis, or it keeps your body in homeostasis. So if you are thinking about that, like let's say you're sick in your body, you need a fever to kind of burn that off, right? So the ECS is the thing that kicks on and tells you that you need to run a fever. And then when it's done, it's the thing that tells you, all right, you need to cool out and like stop. And it's the thing that tells you that you're hungry. And then when you're full, it tells you that you're not. And so it's the thing that's kind of controlling balance in your body. And so when you think about CBD like that, and you think about how it's been affecting you, you're like, well, yeah, it's balanced my sleep cycle. It's balanced my like mood swings or my anxiety. You know, it's balancing you. And I think that that's like a really important thing. And one of the most, it's really cool.
Wax on, wax off.
You know, and there's this theory, or there's this group of thought, and like there's some preclinical, some stuff coming out about how you could, since it is a full bodily system, right, that just like any system, you could have deficiency, right? Mm-hmm. Like your endocrine system isn't firing right, or you have parts of your endocrine system, like pancreas doesn't work or whatever. And so there could be parts of your ECS that aren't working. And so if that's the case, they're saying, you know, that there are a lot of things that they think could be ailments or illnesses that you could be susceptible to if that's not working, like IBS, for example, or migraines. And so taking CBD as like a prophylactic or as a preventative, like, like the 10 milligram capsules that you're taking right now, like that, those could be really beneficial to ward off, like, because we don't know, you wouldn't know if you have a deficiency in that, especially because they don't test for those kind of things at the doctor, right? Like traditional medicine, it's been really kept out. You know, it's only in like 13% of medical community, like in studies, like in medical school curriculums. It's only like 13% like that you even learn that you have an ECS. So it's like not even in the medical community at all. I feel like think about like that.
A big chapter that they just didn't put in.
Would think.
Systematically, cannabis has really been sort of they've been really trying to like keep it away, and there's a lot of, we can get into like all of the conspiracy, right, of why they're trying to do that, man.
They're trying to sell more of those books you're reading out of the paper, right? It's all about the paper company,
right? And the pharmaceutical companies and all that. So there's a lot of politics, right, with why maybe we don't know as much as we should about this thing that's been around literally since like the Neolithic times. You know,
I think they thought about that though. Yeah, the pharmaceutical company. That's so like that should be an easy jump.
We can talk about that forever, but yeah, you know, so like you could have a deficiency in your ECS, and like that could be why you have certain ailments, and like that's literally not even on anybody's radar. And so the therapeutic effect of taking CBD, people are having tremendous anecdotal results with that, because it really is helping with these things that like modern medicine kind of, for whatever reason, like we just haven't been able to get there. We just haven't been able to. There's a lot of ailments, like, you know, this happened in the 90s and things, but like cancer and like these kind of things where like there were just things that were just sort of like just that far out of reach, you know, that like we just couldn't figure out what the right medical thing was for this. And then all of a sudden cannabis kind of starts sneaking in, and it's like, wow, like cannabis is helping with like these symptoms of AIDS or cancer, or these things that like
they're like, how come all these hippies live so long?
Right,
dude,
but for
fucking
real,
hippies live forever.
Yeah, and so
it's so true.
Yeah, and so that's like one of those things that's kind of interesting, that like it's kind of bridging the gap for these things that like it doesn't cure or, you know, prevent disease, but that it can help with the symptoms of things that you're experiencing because of that thing, or, you know, that sort of thing, like, you know, for cancer patients or lose their appetite, for example, right? And so like people get prescribed cannabis for that, and it stimulates their appetite, and so they'll eat, and those kind, you know, it's working with those things. And there are clinical and preclinical studies, you know, that have shown those things, especially for THC, because that's kind of the only cannabinoid up until recently that has been studied.
Why can't it be both, right? Like, okay, you get this crazy alien injection of something that you get to take care of whatever ailment, but also you could take CBD at the same time. Well, like, why can't it be two things?
Now you can, right? And what would be ideal is that cannabis becomes part of modern medicine, right? And that, like, instead of like it being considered, and then all of this is political, right? Because it's still Schedule 1. Right. I mean, hemp is not, so CBD technically right now has been decriminalized with the 2018 Farm Bill. So anything that has under 0.3% THC is federally legal. Certain states have like gone back on that and made their own adjustments to that law. But for the most part, most states, CBD is legal. But THC, yeah, I mean, you've only got there's a little bit more than 30 states, so a little more than half, right, that have medical programs for people who need it. But that's not all yet. You know, they're supposed to have that. It was supposed to be federally, well, the vote to be federally decriminalized was in the House was supposed to be this week or next week.
Yeah, I thought that was supposed to happen.
They postponed it till after the election, so we'll see what happened. They postponed it. You know, we'll see if they probably might do that again.
Dude, if Texas legalizes it,
don't you pull it aside my weed?
I mean, I'm not trying to, dude. Like, I'm not trying to, you know, bow down here, but like, I've never been a big weed smoker. Like, dude, you and me used to have fun. We still do, but like, honestly, like the benefits.
I think as you age too, like it's different. Like, you start wanting those things for a different reason. Like when you're young, you're smoking weed and drinking because you're partying and having fun and whatever. As an adult, you're like trying to get rid of your life.
Fucking back hurts.
Yeah, right. Like my anxiety, my back, you know, all these things. And, you know, that's what's really cool about CBD, because even as you age, like, a lot of people do struggle with THC, that it creates paranoia or these kind of things. And so they maybe once enjoyed smoking cannabis, but no longer really are able to do that. And CBD is great because you can. Yeah. And, you know, like, I'm not a super a cannabis user, like, I'm not a daily user generally or anything like that, but I do, like, with the CBD, like, because I just never had a high tolerance, and, like, it just, you know, like, I never was able to, like, do a lot of it. Yeah. You know what I mean?
When you say do a lot of it, really tells that you don't really do. I do weed, dude. Like,
and it's one of those things.
You know what I mean? I just, like, never smoked a ton. I grew up in Colorado, and, like, it's been not legal, but, like, it was always decriminalized from the time that, like, I was of age to smoke, you know, like, you could have an ounce on you and you wouldn't be arrested, you know, from the time that I was, like, 14. So I just never really felt the urgency for it. Like, I don't think I smoked cannabis for the first time until I was, like, 21. And I always enjoyed it or whatever, but, like, I never, like, I had friends, you know, who could smoke a lot of pot, you know, and I just, like, was never one of those people. Like, I was just never one of those people who, like, it just affected me differently. Like, we all have different tolerances, and, like, I had a very low tolerance, and so, like, but with the CBD, like, I find that I can partake and I get all the benefits that I actually want, but I don't get the paranoia, or I don't get the, like, the body, like, itchy feeling, or those kind of things that, like, a lot of people experience,
like,
that are negative.
Here.
That's
the paranoia, right? You know,
that's what happened to me, because I was one of those people that...
Wait, you smoked weed all day?
All day.
What?
Yeah. And then I stopped, right? You know?
Yeah, sure.
I had adult shit going on.
Right.
You know? It's like, all right, I gotta be responsible here. And I stopped. And then it was your product that I took the CBD. And it wasn't my first time taking CBD, but it was my first time taking CBD after I had stopped smoking, you know, THC. You know, for a while I took that 50 milligram pill that you gave me. Holy shit.
Did you take it during the day, or did you take it at night?
It was at night. Remember, we were out at that lake house.
Oh yeah.
Hey, sorry, I gotta pee real quick.
Go for it.
Go for it.
But it was the first time I had taken it, like, while not ingesting any sort of THC for months.
Sure.
And then I was just like, I was so irritable and crabby and just like,
yeah,
I work outside, I get the occasional like soreness and like back pain and stuff like that.
Back sore, knees sore.
I couldn't sleep. I was having the weirdest dreams like in the world, like after I stopped smoking, and it was just so strange. But that first time that you gave me that 50 milligram capsule, and I didn't even know I went to sleep. Like, I was just like, okay,
just float off, right?
And I just floated off, and you're right. I woke up fully charged. Like I had the first good sleep since I was
like, you're getting your REM sleep, like you're actually hitting your sleep cycles. And I know it's amazing. For me, it's something that I think like a lot of people, like I didn't think I struggled with it, and then I took it and I'm like, oh no, I was actually tossing and turning and like sore and like things that I didn't realize that I was. And that for me has been life-changing in so many ways. Like, you don't realize how restorative and like regenerative sleep is until like you really are getting it, and then you're like, wow, like I'm so much more, I don't need to take it, I don't feel tired at 3 o'clock in the afternoon anymore, and I don't feel brain fog in the morning when I wake up, and like you're just ready, and it's like it's balance, right? Like you're balancing your sleep cycle. And that just, it helps so much to just...
And like we were talking about the other day, like on it just being appropriate, you know what I'm saying? Like, even if you are, like, if you do smoke weed, right? There are those occasions where it's just probably not appropriate for you to just be stoned, right?
Right.
But like you enjoy... Dinner
with the in-laws.
Yeah, you enjoy the mellow feeling, you enjoy that, right? But maybe it's not appropriate for you to be stoned. Take some CBD, and like you're just fine. And it's so weird because you, like we were talking about, like you don't realize you have things that bother you until you took it, and you're like, whoa, I didn't realize that was bothering me.
Like that shoulder or whatever.
It's almost like, people go to the doctor to find out what's wrong with them. But like if you just took some CBD, you would be like, holy crap, I didn't realize my butt hurt. Or like
that's what I
couldn't
kind of
sleep, or like.
That's kind of what I meant earlier about, like, it's like the opposite of placebo, because you take a placebo to treat a specific thing, but you end up...
Also to trick your brain into thinking that you're better, right?
Which honestly I think it's like probably the most powerful drug we have is our brain, but at the same time, like, it's kind of the opposite in fact that, like, you kind of, an hour, 30 minutes later, you're like, oh shit, I feel good, baby.
Let's go bowling. You feel good, right? Stuff's opening up. I mean, I love to think of it that way, that like it's just kind of taking away all the things that are keeping us from being fully functioning, right? Like, we live in a pretty, I mean, especially like right now, things are a mess, and like it's a struggle for everyone, and even, like, in different ways, like we're all struggling in different ways, and there are different things that are setting different people off, and it's hard. It's a hard world we're living in, like in this moment, and the modern age it's hard anyway. The lack of like privacy, and that like you have to be tuned in all the time, and that like everybody knows that you've got your phone on you, so if you don't answer, like there's stresses that like people haven't had to live with.
That's before. A big stressor for me. The phone thing.
I think it's a stress for everyone. Like, you're so accessible, and that's only true of the now, of like right now. And so CBD really does help kind of alleviate those pressures, because like you're not feeling pressure in here. Like everything in here is kind of focused and working the way that it should, and it allows you to tackle your day in the way that you need to, or your night. Like, it allows you to get that sleep that you need. And it's been pretty, I mean, I haven't had anybody, I welcome the moment and I look forward to that, but I haven't had the conversation with somebody yet where they're like, it didn't work for me, or I didn't feel anything, or I didn't notice anything. And part of that, like, I think there's a lot of buzz around CBD, and I think that can be really off-putting. People are like, oh, it's a fad, or it creates stress, right? And they're like, oh, there's just like, it's too much, and there's too much information, and there's too much stuff out there that like it kind of paralyzes us. And I think that's true of a lot of things, but
it's like having too many options, and then like, fuck it, I won't buy it, or I won't try it. Not buy it, I mean, try it out.
Like, my wife's mom is super amped all the time about anything, literally anything. She is just completely amped all the time. We actually gave her a 50 milligram, and she took it, she was like, what's it gonna make me feel like I don't know if I should take this, and like am I gonna be like high and all this stuff. We're like, just take it and see what happens. And so she took it and she was like, whoa. She was like, I was so relaxed.
Yeah.
Because she's so just
on edge.
wired constantly. And yeah, she was pretty relaxed, she said.
Yeah, that's cool. I love these, like, hearing these things because it's, I haven't had anybody who's like, it didn't work. And sometimes that can be on dose, the dosing was a little off because everybody's body is different. Like, you're taking 20 milligrams and you were sleeping great. Like, 20 milligrams doesn't give me the sleep that a 50 does, so we all have different dosing that we need. Like it's the same way with THC. Everybody has a different tolerance to that, so, and different ailments, right? Like, some people have really extreme chronic pain and like they can take a lot more CBD because their threshold is so much higher than like where I'm at with what I'm experiencing,
right?
So it has to be tailored to the individual. I like to say that there's not a one size fits all or a one dose fits all, but there is a dose for you. And that, like, that's something that I, with our company, I always like try to make myself very available to people. And I always like, I let them know that, like, if they have questions or something's not working for them, to reach out, because I'm not an expert, and this isn't a one size fits all, and it's definitely not a miracle or a cure, but you can tailor this to you in a way that will help and, kind of helps do what you need it to do, and I think part of that is expectations. Some people come into this and they're like, oh, it's going to fix everything, which it kind of gives that impression because there is a very long list of things that seem unrelated until you kind of learn about the endocannabinoid system and all the things that it touches. But, it seems unrelated. It's like, oh, it's a one size fits all, you just whatever. And that's not really the case. So I always like to tell people to, like, really think about why you want to take it. Like, what is the thing that you're struggling with that you want to take it for, and then create reasonable expectations based on that thing,
Yeah, absolutely. I have a question. So just based off of that 0.3, so the 0.3 THC, right? Like, I guess that would depend on the test you're taking, right? Like, is the test so accurate that it can kind of miss that 0.3? Do we know? Well, obviously not the experts.
You're talking about if you were to be drug tested?
Yeah.
Or are you picking up that Walmart one off the shelf?
Yeah, exactly.
Right, so the drug test has a threshold.
Okay.
So, like, it will pick up to a certain percentage in your well, this particular thing, opioids sit in your blood cells, but, like, this sits in a fat cell, right? So, so I cannot say with absolute certainty. I would say that, you would have to see, like, okay, what's the percentage that, like, a drug test is picking up on, and there would be all kinds of things that adjust this, right? Like, how often are you taking CBD? How, like, how often you work out, what's your weight, like, all of these things would factor in to it. So, like, it's a hard thing because, like, opioids and alcohol are in your system for like 24 hours, right? Like, and they just come right out as you drink water, but because that lives in your fat cells, it can be in there for up to a month, right?
Oh yeah.
And so, like, you would have a buildup depending on how often and how much you're taking. And so, like, I would say that with that particular thing being drug tested,
thanks, dude,
I would say just no THC is right for you, because
smart.
Just
That's
because
the responsible
you don't want
answer.
to, you really don't want to mess with that. And we don't provide a product for people who need that, but there's lots of great products out there for people who do, and it is by far the best choice for them to just go with a
we kind
isolate.
of equated it too, right? It's kind of like if you were to eat a poppy seed bagel and then you had to take a drug test,
right.
how
you could test positive for opioids, and
right?
That's ridiculous, right? That you could, like, it could be that simple of a thing, but it does, it does happen. And so I'm just always like want to be very open and honest about that, like, our products are amazing, but it's not for somebody who needs that specific thing,
right?
Yeah.
Right. Well, dude, I mean, I know Dan's excited for that mango smoothie.
Yeah,
He's actually not the only person who said something. It is an amazing smoothies, and it's on our blog and our website if anybody's interested in checking that out. But it's basically you take the drops and you It's mango, banana, and mangoes have myrcene, so you get like that terpene.
You get them terpenes going.
You get that terp going. But yeah, it's mango and banana and some coconut water, and then the CBD, and that's, I think, it. Like a little pinch of salt.
You might have to make a terpene shirt, dude.
Terps.
It's gotta be terps, dude.
Yeah, and it's delicious. It's one of my favorite recipes that we've made with the CBD so far, and that's something that we're like really excited about doing, is like teaching people how to use it, because I think that there's a lot of that too, where people are nervous about taking CBD because they don't really know. They're like, oh, there's so many products, right? There's like topicals, there's tinctures, there's capsules, there's I said topicals already, but like there's
suppositories,
right? No, there's like 1,000 different things, right? There's the pre-rolls, right? Like there's the rollies, like for smoking, and so I think that people get a little bit like concerned about that, and I think and I mean actually I could just like kind of line that out for people right now, but there's nothing. I think that the capsules are a great place for people who are kind of like, I don't know how to administer. Administration is kind of like a source of anxiety, and the capsules are great because they're perfectly dosed, so you know exactly what you're taking every time. And you don't have to, if you're already taking vitamins or you're kind of already on a wellness program, like they fall right into that. They're great for like I think that they're really good for an older community where they're already taking pills, and so like it already falls into kind of their regimen. And of course, you need to consult with your doctor and make sure that you're not taking anything that like directly would interact. But those are really nice, and it's a great place to start for people who are kind of like, oh, I don't know what exactly, it's just really straightforward. And then we have the drops, which are great because they're super customizable. Like if you need 7 milligrams of THC, or excuse me, of CBD, you need 7. You can get that with the drops. You can get exactly 7, which is nice because you really want to find like where your perfect dose is. There's no reason to take more because it's just like anything. Like you can't, if you take more, you don't necessarily get more benefit. You know what I mean? Like you want to take exactly what's the right dose for you. Also, that's the right thing to do for you financially, right? Like you don't want to have to, like wherever your perfect place is, like that's what you should be taking, because you don't really get more benefit from taking too much. There's a bell shape to that where like you don't necessarily get more benefit. It's just like, you can't get more high. For example, with THC, like that's a common joke, right? It's like, like whatever that like place is for you, you can't get like, there's no beyond that. You're just like, that's like, how high you are.
Like taking vitamin C, if you take like a shit ton of vitamin C, you just pee it out, right?
Same kind of idea.
You feel really good though.
Or it'll kill you.
Really? But it's sort of the same idea. And so, but I
jugging a whole jug of milk,
Yeah, right. Same thing.
You could die from that, right?
Too much water.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But the drops are great because you also like, they're super customizable with dosing, but also you can put them in drink and beverages, and there's you can put it in literally anything, but you can put it in foods. They also, like if you are taking it because you want faster effects, right? Because the capsules, like you guys kind of already said, they take maybe 30 minutes to kind of start working, but and they go through the liver like first pass, right? So there's like certain things that are kind of taken out when they hit the liver. So they're not quite as bioavailable as other things. But like with the drops, if you hold them under your tongue, right, they go through that blood vessel in the membrane there, and they go directly into the bloodstream. So you're kind of skipping the liver first pass, and so you're getting a quicker onset, maybe 10-15 minutes, so it's not waiting as long. And then you're still swallowing it, right? So you're still getting like the gastro stuff. But I think for people who have gastro stuff, the capsules are great because it really gets in there, down there, like, and it's really working before it's getting absorbed, and so you can really get it a lot further into your intestinal tract and like that kind of thing. But yeah, and then we have the rollies, which are, they're hemp pre-rolls, like a hemp. They're like a hemp joint. They're a CBD.
They smell like weed, dude.
Well, I mean, they are.
But they don't. Nothing happened. I mean, it wasn't like
it's the same. I mean, they're the same plant family, right? So like cannabis sativa. There's two plants in that group. One of which is cannabis, which has the THC and gets you high. The other is hemp. So they're very similar. The flowers are similar. The smells are similar. The proportions are just different as far as the cannabinoids that are readily available. And with the pre-rolls are great because people who need an immediate onset, right, you're talking 30 seconds to 5 minutes. So people who have panic that's great, right? Like you can get immediate relief if you feel that kind of stress. They're great for migraines, right? Like you need the immediate relief from migraines. Menstrual cramps is another one, personally. Girls, I know you know. And
ladies,
for the ladies,
it's ladies' night.
So
some guys that I know,
yeah, right. Some guys know, so those kind of things. And also, like, the rollies are great. Like, some people like to smoke, they don't want to, and they have the same problem like I said, like I have with THC. Like, I can't enjoy it the same way that other people do.
Right.
And so the CBD, for me, I can partake and have fun and like enjoy the smoking experience without having to smoke cannabis.
It helped me so much. Like when I was like, I just wanted to smoke a bowl or something. When I stopped smoking.
Totally.
The like rolling a joint out of CBD, dude, it was perfect because it it kind of took care of that little craving that like I wanted,
totally. And it actually has been like in clinical studies, like they've been able, like people have had success, like who want to stop smoking cigarettes, like they kind of bridge that gap and help. Well, they also like have been shown in some studies to help with addiction anyway. And so like with the neurotransmitting that happens with addiction in the brain, like they like modulate that thing and kind of slow that like craving thing that you're talking about, is the best way I guess that I can describe it. And so they also help with that. So they're great for people who smoke cigarettes and want to stop. They're great for people who just want to be a part of that kind of smoking culture, right? And then they're also great just for fun.
For fun.
I can't. There's so much studies that have been done, and obviously you're more of an expert than we are on this particular topic.
But not an expert, and nothing here. Disclaimer. We are not experts.
But I guess my point is, like, I haven't heard, like, other than getting paranoia and all that, like a bad health thing. I guess if you're smoking something, right, like
anything combustible in the lungs,
combustible is going to be bad.
Good for you, right?
So it's actually interesting, and I read a study recently that was about, and like I don't have the numbers and the whatever, but that they have found that like when you this number isn't on here, but they have found that, so they've like studied people who have been long-time cannabis users, and not like specifically about CBD, but people who are long-term cannabis users, and what kind of ailments like do they have because of this thing. Like they studied a group of people who are heavy, long, like life cannabis users, and then people who never use cannabis, right? And they kind of looked at them across the board, and they're like, okay, what things do the cannabis users have that is obviously like, what are the trends that we're seeing with these people?
A sweet tooth.
There were none. They didn't have extra COPD or obesity, which would be something, with the munchies that we're kind of talking about there, right? Like nothing that you would kind of expect, no cardiovascular things, and the lung thing is huge, like no kind of adverse things to the lungs. The only thing that they did say was periodontic, which is teeth, because it does create dry mouth in a lot of cases. A lot of people, that's like one of the major things with any sort of cannabis product. Even like with the drops and stuff, I can sometimes notice that I feel like that dry mouth experience even if I don't smoke it. And so like if you are a cannabis user, take care of your teeth. But that's kind of the only thing that they noticed was a trend that they could find with them as far as like long-term use and like what kind of adverse things had happened.
And maybe their houses were painted cooler colors.
Off-white.
Right. They were just generally happier
Interesting
humans.
interiors.
Yeah.
Question, what is periodontic? Does that mean like...
mouth health, teeth, and like, so like gum and teeth health.
Gotcha.
So like that was kind of the only thing that they noticed was a trend as far as like something that they all kind of were experiencing, or not all, but like, a large amount of them were experiencing like obviously effective dry mouth, and like what that kind of leads to.
Gotcha.
So that was
was
kind of the only thing that they noticed, and so that's kind of an interesting thing to your question, like how like does the combustion and stuff, and like when you're like there's like, for example, we use hemp wicks at home for smoking because then you don't have the like butane from the lighter. Like those are the things, like then you're getting the chemicals and the stuff that like is actually really bad for your lungs. Or you're using matches to sulfur. You're getting those things into your lungs that like aren't really supposed to be there. And so with the hemp wicks, you don't really get that. And then
those are awesome. I love those.
Yeah, they're really nice.
Hemp wicks?
Yeah.
Like candles?
Yeah, it's like a candle wick with wax on it, but it's made out of hemp, and you just light it and then
you
let
use that
burn.
to light whatever you're doing instead of inhaling like the butane that's coming off of the lighter or the sulfur off of a match. So it's a lot better for what you're taking in.
You can even use it for fireworks.
But they haven't found that like the lung stuff that like, because there's no tar, like it doesn't have the same thing, and it's actually a bronchial dilator. And so like for people with asthma, like cannabis,
Michael Phelps had great lungs.
I did not realize that.
It's a bronchial dilator.
Wow, that's cool.
And so there's a lot, and it's neuroprotectant. Like
So
there's
it's
a
good for
lot of
COVID.
these things. What's that?
It can cure COVID.
That's what we're
Actually,
saying.
straight up, there have been studies done in Canada, and like there's only
I've
a couple.
heard of this,
and so like there obviously needs to be more research that is done, but it is interesting to look at that cannabis treatment could actually be something used for COVID.
Dude, weed fixes everything.
They basically, there's two different things. One of which is that like it's a bronchial dilator. The other thing is that they saw that it modulates the receptor, right? So like receptors, you can think of them as a lock, and then like the thing that comes in would be the key, like CBD or COVID or whatever the thing is that would like turn that lock, right?
Yeah.
So it modulates the receptor. So you got a
catalyst.
cannabinoid in here, right? And it's modulating this lock, and it makes it so that the COVID can't get in.
That's super cool.
There's one study, so like I want to be.
You heard it here, folks.
I want to be very like upfront that more research needs to be done, but those things are out there.
Yeah.
You can look them up, and those are true studies.
They were like the only
awesome.
bad
That came
thing
out of Canada.
is that
That's
it makes
super cool.
some cough everywhere,
Right.
which doesn't help.
Right, and I don't know how they administered it. I don't know how they administered it. If it was like whatever.
Like, well, he's safe.
Yeah. He's coughing, but like that's how you know it's working.
It's working.
Okay, I have kind of an out there idea. This might be I might be digging deep into the the realm of aliens and stuff, but this is what the podcast is about. But it's also like expanding the mind and being in a state to where
space.
you're in space. No one can hear you scream in space. Did you know that?
Scream in space.
Can they hear you cough in space?
Mop. But so cannabis is obviously a mind-altering drug, as you said, as same thing as alcohol and coffee.
THC, just the one cannabinoid is mind-altering. The other 100 plus are not.
You need to be in here on every podcast so you can kind of.
I'll be your fact checker.
Yeah.
Our young Jamie.
Oh, dude.
Our young Bailey, dude.
Yeah,
Bailey.
that's me.
So just mind altering, even when there's all kinds of, everybody said like, well, the government doesn't want us to open our mind, but I feel like it's even further with the CBD stuff, because it's like we're putting our minds and our bodies in a state to where we're comfortable and not distracted by some of the stuff that we've mentioned already in this podcast. So now we have time to think about like, you know what, I'm paying too much taxes.
Well, I think right. Yeah, no, I think that like it also it's masking the things that like Joe kind of talked about this earlier, that like they let us see what we want to see, right? And they are controlling, or have tried to control the narrative of cannabis, right? Like cannabis in the U.S., not in the world, was extremely wide used prior to basically the 1970s. Just like it was everywhere.
Hashish
in the U.S., it was grown. It was literally, if you came to the U.S. and you colonized, you were required by King Henry, to grow, like all colonizers were required to grow 100 hemp plants. 100 hemp plants. Like every house was required to do that. And so. Hemp was one of the biggest commodities in but Russia, interestingly enough, because this plant grows like a weed, it could grow in Russia, which is like so cold and, you would think really inhospitable for a plant to grow. But they were like the largest producer of hemp at that time. And so all of the other countries were trying to like not need Russia, right? Like not depend on Russia for that thing. And so as the colonies were happening, they were like, you got to grow hemp and send it back to us. And so what would happen is America, would grow this hemp and they'd send it back, and then they would have to buy back the goods that were being made with the hemp, which is crazy to think about. But like hemp is a really unique plant. And like we've been talking a lot about the therapeutic properties, right? But hemp as a plant is one of the most unique plants on the planet, because it is the only plant that can house you, heal you, feed you, and clothe you. Like and not only just that, like you can
transport you. Henry Ford's first Model T was made out of hemp.
All
right.
hemp, yeah.
You can literally make anything out of hemp, and like that's not an exaggeration. It really could change. I think that there's an agricultural revolution that's happening right now, and like it's going to be tremendous to see all the things that happen. But there's all kinds of statistics, like air quality, for example. Like an acre of hemp creates more oxygen than 25 acres of a forest.
A forest, yep.
In a growth cycle.
No
Yep.
way.
It's a statistic that you can look up.
Absolutely.
Crazy.
And
one acre of hemp requires half of the water of an acre of cotton. Mm-hmm. It creates 1 acre of hemp creates or the same amount of paper as 4 acres of trees.
Yep.
What?
And it regenerates the soil.
Yeah, that's the big thing.
Really
There's
cool.
That was my next question.
That.
Like, how do you?
There's a term for that. Hold on, I did write it down because it's a hard one to remember.
Terpene aluminous.
It's called phytoremediation. Phytoremediation, and tomatoes are another plant that do this, but they basically pull impurities out of the soil. And they did this, they grew it in Chernobyl. They've been growing it in Chernobyl. There was a whole, in the early 2000s, I think, they did a project there growing hemp there because it would literally pull the radioactive elements out of the soil, and then they would destroy the plants and they'd plant them again, and they were cleaning the soil using hemp.
What?
And
that was some crazy weed, man.
Yeah. I hope that
this is radioactive.
I hope that nobody partook.
This shit will fucking kill you,
The
man.
strain is called Chernobyl.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's pretty messed up.
It'll make you funky.
This shit is the bomb, bro.
But yeah, it's an incredible plant that has all of this opportunity to do way more things than just like the therapeutic properties, and those things are just being studied. The 2018 Farm Bill being passed really has been a catalyst for it's been 80 years since anybody has been able to grow, and studying cannabis at all has been an extreme struggle until now. And now they're able to not only study CBD, but they're able to study the other minor cannabinoids. Like CBG is a huge one that's like, kind of exploding right now because people are kind of realizing that, it has a ton of medicinal properties. And CBN and CBC, like there's all of these other cannabinoids that we don't even fully understand the therapeutic effects that they may have. And so there's a revolution happening with hemp that has the potential to change the world if the pharmaceutical company can't find a way to shut it down.
Yeah, I mean, I just love the fact that like it's we the people that are doing it right now. It feels like it's less. I mean, yes, it's a business.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
but it's not. Monsanto. I love that that's not happening.
I mean, there are companies. Like there is one. Epilex is the only pharmaceutically or FDA approved drug.
Name.
Well, it's for seizures and
okay, well then now it makes sense.
and I backtrack. There's a couple of extreme forms of seizure that happen in young kids. Charlotte Figge is she was kind of poster child for that in the early 2000s or whatever. And there is an FDA approved drug that they did the farm that made it is called Charlotte's Web, and they worked with a pharmaceutical company and made this thing that literally stops
Charlotte's Web
seizures in kids that are seizing a constant seize. You know what I mean? Like they
multiple a day.
No, they're just all day. Yeah, all the time.
Not chick.
Well, she unfortunately died this year.
Oh no.
Yeah, they said from COVID complications, but what a beautiful, incredible human she was. Such a shine, just shining, so bright. You know what I mean? And she did a lot for hemp, and we wouldn't be where we are without the things that she did and her family did, and Charlotte's Web did with them, and it's a really cool thing. They created an entire movement, and now we're here waiting for the future. And
I mean, as soon as we figure out which cannabinoid can make boners, it's legalized.
Wait, what if there's one that's instant orgasm?
Yeah, whatever.
Instead of having to take Viagra, if you could take a cannabinoid pill,
it would be over, dude.
Whatever we could give rich white men to really seal the deal, that's what we're looking for.
As your biggest consumer, don't hate them too much. They will buy your boner pills immediately.
Redeemers for everyone.
That's right. That's right.
No, Redeemers for everyone.
So,
but yeah, that's that. Yeah, we're open. We're open to that.
hey,
so
now that I've given you the idea, maybe invest
Listen, I
some
will
of
be
that.
sure to let you know that I'll put you in the.
I don't need it, but I'll
put
be
you in
your
the memo or whatever.
I'll be your hamster.
This was sort of Joe's idea on a podcast.
All I'm saying is that, but before the time I hit like 50, you know, maybe see if you can get that working. You know?
Yeah,
I'll
using
do what I can.
using CRISPR, you can select different cannabinoids.
Right.
Funny enough, it's actually called. I know it. It's called cannabinoid B. It stands for boner. And right.
No, I've heard of it.
You're aware of this, right?
No, I heard of it. Yeah. No, I think that's the newest one that he just came out of study.
Yeah.
So in this whole realm of things, we're very familiar with THC. CBD is becoming pretty common.
Right, it's in the limelight. It's been studied the most,
And
other than
you
THC.
were talking about a new kind of thing that maybe
CBG.
Yep, CBG that we might start
CBG is not
getting into.
It's not new, right? So all the cannabinoids that are in this plant have existed since the beginning of this plant existing, right? But we, now that we're able to study the plant, are learning about them. And CBG is really, really neat because it is they call it the mother of all cannabinoids, because all cannabinoids grow from this thing. So like if you think of it as a embryo, right? All of them start out as CBG, and then they grow from all the other cannabinoids kind of come from CBG. And so people are really excited about that because in theory it could hold tremendous properties, right? Like if all of the therapeutic properties that are in all these other cannabinoids come from one cannabinoid, you know, like there's a lot of potential there.
It's like the Higgs boson of cannabinoids.
Or like what's that? It's like stem cell, like a stem cell.
I don't know anything about stem cell, but yeah,
it's like
no, exactly. That's exactly what it is. It is the stem cell, right?
Yeah.
So it's the thing that all their cannabinoids grow from. So it's the base molecule, right? It's cannabis's base molecule is CBG, and so they're calling it the Rolls Royce because it's expensive to produce because
and like high quantities,
right? Because the problem is as a hemp plant grows or cannabis plant grows, all these other cannabinoids start to sprout up, and then the percentages are changing, right? And so in hemp, for example, CBD is the highest percentage generally cannabinoid, and in cannabis, THC is generally the highest. And of course there's tons of breeding, like that's a huge thing that like is a whole could take hours, you know, to talk about that. But like, so they're adjusting
the Northern Lights, you got the Chernobyl.
Yeah, but they're adjusting the levels, right? Like the cannabis that's on the market right now is not your dad's weed from the 70s. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that had like 5% THC. Like you're talking like there are brands, and like this is a high percentage, but like up near 40% THC. That's crazy.
It's so high.
You know,
That's
and
too
like
high.
your average is somewhere between 13 and 30% probably. So like you're talking like a very high THC strain. So they're growing different varietals for different things. But in general, CBG is how the plant starts out, and so you have to harvest early, right? So that's one part. So you're harvesting before flowers are at like full term.
This is stem cells right here. This is like
It is it is the beginning.
Yeah.
And so like decarboxylation happens, which is basically it happens with heat. So like all cannabinoids, you know, they start out as an acidic form, so it's like CBDA, and then decarboxylation happens, and and the fast way to do that is with heat, right? So like if there's CBDA in the rollies, which there is, and you light it and you smoke it, right? That decarb is happening, and you're activate, and then it becomes, so it's in the acidic form, it's inactive. And then when you heat it up and you decarb it, you are activating that cannabinoid, and so you're getting that percentage of whatever the CBDA is. So
cool.
It's kind of interesting.
That's dope.
But so what are we talking about?
Stem cells, CBDG.
So it takes so you have to harvest early, which means that your plants aren't full term. So like maybe you have to harvest, like they say, like maybe 6 weeks instead of 8 weeks. So you're missing a 2 week, which the growth cycle for these things is only an 8-week cycle.
I'm like only thinking in trimesters right now.
They're growing from this big to full term in 8 weeks.
Yeah.
2 months.
Well, that's why the nickname was weed, right? Because it grows so fast.
Yeah, and
right?
so in 2 weeks' time, there's a lot of growth that happens in 2 weeks' time, right?
Yeah.
And so harvesting that early, your plants are a lot smaller, so you're having to harvest smaller, so you're not harvesting as much biomass to be made into oil. And then the other thing that you're struggling with is like, there's percentages, right? And if CBD is the highest percentage, maybe your CBG percentage is only like 3%. So it takes a lot more biomass to create an oil that's high in CBG. So there's a lot of things about the CBG that are hard. But there's they're coming out with a lot of stuff about CBG right now. Like I said, it's kind of like the one that's buzzing right now. Like CBD, obviously there's still research being done and like it's really holding strong. But now people are like, oh, there's this other... what's going on over here? And they're finding that for gastro issues, like anybody who's struggling with something like IBS or Crohn's or that kind of thing, CBG has been more effective. Or, and like obviously we're talking in blanket terms and we are not doctors, but
we're doctor scientists.
How many times do you think
you two are but it is proving to be very beneficial for gastro stuff. It also, like THC has been proving to be very good for glaucoma, which is something that CBD doesn't really help with, but THC and CBG do help with glaucoma. And then in like anecdotally, people are kind of saying that with CBG that it's like where CBD kind of like makes you feel like a little chilled out, that it's more of like a stimulate, like you're feeling a little bit more invigorated with CBG. So like it's better maybe for daytime where like you got stuff to do and you're trying to get your vibe on, but like you need the focus or the whatever. It also helps with anxiety. It already kind of also.
So is there
those other things?
Is there a indica sativa connection between CBD and CBG,
I mean, all cannabis sativa is like the blanket for cannabis and hemp, and then with CBG and CBD, no, like that there's not necessarily that distinction. But I think as far as like if people want to think about it like that, like if CBD were the indica of the two and like CBG were the or excuse me, I said that wrong. The CBD
CBD were more like the mellow indica, and then CBG is kind of more active daytime kind of stuff, right?
What's the other one?
Yeah, oh my god,
there you go.
I know, I'm like looking at him in the eyes and like I'm just like, wait, what's the other one?
I was having trouble too.
No, the sativa, right. So if you wanted to think of CBG as more of the sativa, like I think that's an okay way to think of like how they affect you, and I think that's good terms for people who are
but
cannabis
that's
users.
not what it is.
But like as far as the like scientific whatever, no, but like if way they make you feel, sure. And I think I anecdotally like have like that has been my experience. Like when I take CBG during the day, and I do feel like I have the mental clarity and those things that I get from CBD, but I don't feel tired. Like I'm not like when I take CBD, like I do feel like if I'm in a relaxed state, like I'm definitely like ready to cruise, to bed. But with CBD, I don't really feel that way. Like I can take it all day. I can even have had like, been up early or whatever, and like I don't really feel like affected by it. But like if I take 50 milligrams of CBD during the day, I'm going to bed. But if I take 50 milligrams of CBG, like I can be up all day doing my thing, whatever. And so like that's in my experience, and it's anecdotally like the experience that a lot of people are having.
Yeah.
So I think that it is proving to maybe be better for like a daytime use than the CBD for a lot of people. And like I said, it really needs to be tailored to you. But if you have gastro issues, I would say CBG is much better suited for the thing that you need, for sure.
Yeah.
And there's lots of other like, cannabinoids that are there's hundreds of them, but the CBN I think is another one that's interesting. Like it's actually what happens when like old weed, people kind of talk about how old weed like just makes you super tired. No, like it's been sitting out or like you've had it for a long time and you just like get really like it makes you just like instantly tired. And so they're talking about CBN as being like maybe it's like going to be the cannabinoid that's like really for sleep.
CBN?
Oh, that's a new one.
Well, I mean, it's not
CBD
new.
night.
It's not. Yeah, right. It's not new, but it's
CBD night.
maybe being newly studied.
Yeah.
And so
Very
it's going to be
interesting.
really cool to see what all of these different cannabinoids do. But yeah, so there's CBG in the pre-rolls, right? We have a maker's blend for those that they blend at the farm and
they have
roll those.
CBG in them.
Yeah, so it's not a half and half, but it's pretty close to like. it's maybe 2/3 CBD and a third CBG.
I have a question.
And
is there somewhat? Do you have a lab with white coats of some sorts?
We don't, but our extractors, it's a GMP compliant facility where so that means it's food grade, right? Like
they have to wear coats.
And they have to wear the coats.
We need coats.
So everything is done like in the extraction process in a sterile environment. Obviously our hemp plants are sun grown, so they're grown outdoors.
I love it.
I think it makes a big difference.
There is something about cannabis, all plants in general, but like cannabis specifically, I feel like there is a huge difference in something that was grown in the soil.
In the elements.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You got the air, the sun, the dirt that you just don't get hydroponically.
Right. Dude. If you just put a bunch of nutrients in it, I'm not saying like hydroponic stuff
it works, it's
beautiful
great.
And it comes out great.
Good for space.
But there's no, right, like nothing affects the leaves negatively. Like you don't have there's no wind, there's no rain, there's no inclement weather. But there's something about a plant that like fought the inclement weather comes out. You know what I mean? Like
it's got some dirt on its genes.
But like the vitality of that, right? Like you're talking about like, all right, this plant had some staying power, and I think that that's a real thing that like you can feel it. You can taste.
Yeah, you can
like that. That
thing like this plant went through some shit.
That thing was in a windstorm and it just like stood back up. You know, like that's what's up.
Yeah.
You know, so I do think that there's something special about sun grown, and like there's nothing scientifically that proves that, but like, you know, I think it's unique, and there's so much Colorado sunshine. You know, it's just like smiling on those girls.
Colorado, the sunshine state,
all day, man, and they're beautiful, and I mean, it's pretty neat. And also, I think rainwater, and it doesn't rain a ton in Colorado, but they do get that, and there's nutrients from soil that is like out there, and like coconut soil is great for them and all that stuff. But there's something about like them being of the earth that I think is special.
It's like where they came from.
It's like
bro.
Also along the same lines of what we were talking about earlier, like the junk DNA versus like all these cannabinoids. Cannabinoids
bananas.
That we think are like, you know, useless, but when you don't have that, you notice a difference.
Yeah, like, and that's a real
full circle.
That's a real thing. Yeah, that you just you straight up can tell. Like if you take an isolate, like if you were to take an isolate, even a really good one, now that you have taken this impeccable full spectrum CBD from Redeemer small batch, you would notice a difference for sure.
I just thought of something really cool too after I was saying that name really funny. You know, people think of GMO like as bad, right? But like if you have an heirloom tomato, like that's genetically modified. Like you personally modified that. It's genetics to grow that way. It doesn't necessarily mean I injected some shit in it and now it genetically modified it. You're genetically modifying it by the way you breed it.
Like crossbreeding and that kind of thing.
Right.
You're talking about.
You're genetically modifying it yourself. That's how like the green organics industry gets away with like theft by stealing all your fucking money by you having to pay $20 for like an organic piece of cabbage or some shit, right? It's like there's really only like 9 things that are grown like in a lab GMO wise, and that's what people are worried about, but not everything is like that. Anyways, back to what I was getting at. Cannabananas, right? We need to somehow genetically put cannabis in bananas, because I love bananas and I would love to eat a can of banana.
I want to see a can of banana in a pajama.
I'm into a can of banana. Like, what if you just saw like this beautiful female hemp plant and it just like it had flowers, but it also just had like bunches of bananas hanging on it? I love it.
Awesome.
I love it.
Yep. That's dope. Yeah, we need it.
Love that. Okay, you said something that dude, it's such an interesting thing. As I guess this whole thing just a few minutes ago started off on me asking like just the effects of hemp and cannabis has on us, and how we've been kind of like shown. It's all I don't know what you call it, like politically altered.
Smoke and mirrors or whatever.
Yeah, smoke and mirrors. Like the reason that, oh my gosh, I just forgot what I was gonna say. Fuck. Oh, okay. It was something.
Is it about?
It was something you were saying.
Can of bananas.
And then, oh, damn it.
it
Had a good point.
Smoke and mirrors.
Yeah.
The government.
About the veil.
Genetically
or the wool
modifying.
or the,
Oh, we're getting close. Shit. I lost it, guys.
Oh, man.
I'll think of it.
Hey,
I'll think of it later.
here's a thing I would like to ask.
Yes.
Does CBD make you forgetful, like you would smoke weed and be forgetful about stuff?
So it does affect. So there is like some stuff out there that it could affect short-term memory.
Everybody's looking at me.
No,
I have the worst worst memory.
But like like the loss of like time and like those kind of things. No, like, but there's like there's a thing like that with the short, like if you were to stop taking it for a very small length of time, that would come back basically.
Right. Yeah.
Like it's like a short. It's not like it's gone forever or like that you've lost it. It's just that like, oh, I'll stop taking it for 3 days and then I'll remember that thing that I did on Thursday that I can't remember right now.
UT did a study recently where they were talking about the memory loss and how cannabis use actually
Improved it.
long term made your memory a lot better, and it helped people with like Alzheimer's.
They proved that.
Oh, well, I mean, yeah, it's helping people tremendously with Alzheimer's. Yeah, it's coming out. It's a neuroprotectant. Cannabis and CBD especially and CBG are neuroprotectant, and so not only with like the neurotransmitting that's happening in your brain, but also like people who are having nerve pain, who have like neuropathy and that kind of thing. Like it literally coats your nerves, you know what I mean? And it's neurogenerative and those kind of things. So like people who are experiencing like those kind of nerve damaged ailments, like there
Let's just go in there and give it a squeeze.
Yeah.
Just give it a little hug.
Yeah, but it's helping with that stuff.
That's really cool.
It feels overwhelming, and I think that for a lot of people, like all the things that we've been talking about on the show, people are like, no way that it does all of these things, and it does feel like that sometimes when you think about it. You're like, how could it seemingly help with all these
It's weird.
things that feel unrelated?
It's weird.
But when you look at the ECS, and like, I don't have a picture with me to show the camera, but when you look at all of the places that it's touching, like this, that the system is touching, you're like, oh, well, it's in all of your systems. But the safety profile, like compared to pharmaceuticals, is so different because you don't have the, like with opioids, like a lot of the receptors for that live in your brainstem, right? Which controls respiration, which is a big problem. That's how people overdose. Like that's a major issue.
They stop breathing when they take too many opiates.
Oh, opiates. Okay.
Yeah.
And so with CBD or the ECS, like where those receptors are, they are in your brain and they're all over your body, but you have none in your brainstem. And so the safety profile is just like off the charts. And so I like to tell people that like, if all of this feels overwhelming, the side effects of this, the laundry list is so short, compared to any like even Advil or like things that we take all the time, or like anything that you take all the time, like whatever you have in your medicine cabinet. Like the laundry list is so small. It's like you might experience dizziness, you might get sleepy, you might.
Oh no.
Yeah, like no, but the list is so short, and it's like, if you do have an ailment that is affecting you negatively, and we all do, like even ones that we don't even realize that we do, this is a safe trial. Like this is a thing that you can try to like take care of whatever it is that maybe is ailing you, and not take care of it or cure it or whatever, but it might help with the symptoms that you're experiencing or that kind of thing. And I always want to tell people like it's a small risk as far as what maybe the negative side effects would be.
Right.
And a lot of them come from bad products, like
risk
dizziness
reward.
and getting sick and those kind of things. In general, those things are because you didn't have a product that, you could trust.
Yeah.
And somebody sold you snake oil, and like, that's what's happening to people. And like, when you read the stories about like a ton of people who got sick from like some CBD product, it's because it was not a CBD product, not a real one, not one that was made with care and like all the things that
it was like the spice of CBD.
And so, right. That is exactly right. And it's horrible. And it's because it's in such a gray area right now. But like, if you go to a company and they have COAs and they can prove to you like, this is what is in our product, it's a risk that I think it is willing to take, because this is a rough time, and we all could deal with it. We could all use like a little reprieve or a little respite from, you know, everything that's happening inside of us and outside of us, you know?
Because, I mean, you look at, like, over-the-counter stuff or, like, stuff that gets prescribed to you, and you, like, look at the list of stuff that could happen.
It's like a trifold.
And you're like...
It's like a trifold.
You're like, whoa, you mean, like...
Like unravel the bottle.
Yeah, it's like a CVS. It's like a CVS receipt. It's like a CVS receipt.
It's like, yeah, you may have sleeplessness, your eyes might bleed, your dick might fall off, you're going to have explosive diarrhea, you could, you know, like, whatever, you could become suicidal, like, you're like...
You could drive your car asleep.
You're like, dude, my neck just hurts a little bit. Like, why do I want to, like, become suicidal
So
because my neck hurts?
Back to risk reward, as you were saying,
Yeah.
Also, I remember what I was going to say.
Oh,
yes. So it kind of rolls into this media construent of how GMO has been portrayed in the media. Like, you did this motion of like a needle going into a molecule. Like, that's not how GMO is done, dude. Like, talking about tomatoes all the way up to hemp and you know, cannabis.
Bananas.
Yeah, thank you. But like, yeah, it's not. There's no needle involved. Like, that's something that the news made up.
So like when you look at like GMO corn, right?
Yeah.
The genetic modification process to that isn't that this corn is like genetically modified to grow.
Modified.
It's genetically modified to sit in a vat of Roundup for
Roundup ready
for a week, and then when they plant it, weeds don't get to it because it's sat in a vat of Roundup for a week.
Also,
that's what it's genetically modified for. It's not modified for
or to be like pest resistant,
and stuff like that.
And that's like something with hemp that's really interesting is that like the trichomes, so like the where the CBD and all the cannabinoids are in, which is in the flowers where those trichomes are, that's actually like a pest deterrent. And so plants already have these things. And so like by genetically modifying them or growing like changing a strain to be higher in CBG or whatever, like you're actually just enhancing something that the plant already is capable of doing.
Right.
You know, like you're just giving it more assets.
Yeah. It's like citronella and mosquitoes, right?
Bugs just get stoned and they give up.
What was I doing? What was I doing again?
Who am I?
I don't know.
I'm going home.
Well, I'll say this. So also genetically modified also means not just in our day and age, but the corn itself. We were talking about corn. Used to only have like 6 or 8 kernels on it. Genetically modified just means like,
and it originally grew blue.
Yeah.
It wasn't yellow.
Yeah, and it was like a little tiny kind of wheat looking thing, and then even just selected more and more kernels, and then like, oh shit, now we have a damn cob.
Even current day bananas.
Yeah.
Bananas went extinct in the 60s, and they genetically started growing them to be this
Banana Republic.
This Chiquita banana thing.
Right.
You
Trousers.
All comes back to pants.
All comes back to pants, which I am not wearing, by the way.
He's not wearing any pants.
No, but yeah, dude. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy, man. Yeah. But yeah.
Oh, so this is gonna sound dumb, but so because everything that we kind of know and eat and are able to sustain our bodies on nowadays are genetically modified to suit our needs and like abundance, and we have enough, and it takes up so little space, and we're like able to eat and not only enjoy stuff, but like I feel like hemp and cannabis was already just good. Like it was already just perfect for us, which makes me think like,
well,
aliens,
it is really interesting to think about that. Like you have a bodily system, like an actual bodily system that is perfectly designed to intake. Like you already have your own endo, which means of the body cannabinoids. Like you have 2 of them for each.
Oh, I got a
receptor. We got them right, and then there's a plant out there that is exactly designed for that system.
For you, yeah.
You know, and yeah, I mean, it's it certainly does not perform miracles, but it is extraordinary that it's here and that it is capable of providing so much to the human experience.
It's almost like something planted it for us.
Boom, that's where I was going, bro.
It's definitely in space somewhere. It was brought here for sure.
I think it was seeded by a meteor sent from Shikapingungo star system.
That's to the left, right?
Exactly.
You look up and it's to the left.
Oh, dude, yes. And it seems like too much of a coincidence. It's almost, to me, it's analogous to how perfect the moon is for our planet. Like, it just makes too much sense.
I mean,
there's no bad side effects of the moon, right? There's no bad side effects to weed, man.
It's a perfect plant. I mean, it's a perfect plant. And like, to think about like taking a plant, like if we go to Mars and we do this thing and we're going into space, right? It is, if you could take one plant with you, like even just the like laundry list of things that we said earlier, that like how much oxygen it creates, that it creates food, that you can literally make anything out of it, from clothes and paper to cement and metal structures, you know, like you can make all this stuff out of hemp. Like if you take one plant to space, it's the one.
Dude, you know Elon Musk is gonna, that's a great point.
Yeah.
Like,
no, it is. It's the one. And it like, not only like, and
NASA's fucking around with celery right now up in space.
And it's like but you can eat the seeds, and like the seeds are fatty acids, like omega-3s, which is like so vital to humans. And then it's also protein. So like you could have, and you can make a ton, you can make hemp milk, like you can make so much stuff out of the seeds. And so
the seeds have nipples?
Yeah. You didn't know? Wow, Ben, I thought you knew.
No. Hemp nips, dude. Hemp nips.
Never heard of it. So yeah, I mean, like if you were to take a single plant, like it does provide so much. Because this was a question that like we were kind of joking about when we were talking about me coming on the show. Like, and I started thinking about that. Like, okay, like what does that actually look like, or what would that actually mean? Like, obviously, like in a biodome sort of like situation, and like where they are growing some things out there, like it could literally purify all the air of a space station, or like whatever kind of structure is out there.
Right.
Like it would provide purity to the soil, so that like the soil could be regenerative for other things. And like, because you talk like with certain crops, right, like you can't grow certain crops for an extended period of time because of the way that they affect the soil. And so like you could grow corn and like the way that it affects, and then you could grow hemp and it would fix the soil, you know. And like so there's so much stuff about it that like it's the space plant, man. Like
that's
take
where,
it. And also
space plant.
But also like take like, and also the euphoric effect, right? Like everybody, like vice is important, and we all need like this little time sort of reprieve from everything. That's why we drink, it's why we smoke cigarettes, it's all the stuff, right? Like everybody, we all just kind of want this like whatever, this glaze over things. And it does that, but it's safe, right? Like nobody's ever overdosed from it, nobody's ever died from it, nobody, like it's so safe. And like if you were going to take something like that to space, alcohol is not the thing
right
to take with a bunch of people who are like trapped on a thing. Like
somebody's gonna figure it out.
But delicate shit that's gonna like take away people's stress, and they're not gonna be like, oh my god, did I do this, am I stuck on Mars, you know? Like,
and it's great because
here's some CBD,
it's
you know,
it's edible, right? Because in an oxygenated environment, a flammable substance is not very safe.
Right.
But
you can get all the same effects, and you can eat it, right?
That's where Matt Damon fucked up. He was up there growing potatoes for 6 months when he could have been growing hemp.
Dude. And say there's like a hole in one of the biodomes, right? Oh, what are we gonna do? I don't know. Maybe make some fibers and like put some glue on it.
Yeah. What are you gonna patch it with potatoes?
You can make plastic out of it. You just plaster that thing.
What?
You can make concrete. You can make everything, and like
like fiberglass. I feel like it would be the same kind of structural integrity,
they literally
right?
have like created a metal out of it that's like this strong, like they make it out of resin. I don't know enough about the science of like how this do it. There is a company that's making like military grade metal out of hemp.
What?
Yes. And
that's
like
cool.
It's crazy. Like all the things, and like we've been, like I said, talking about medicinal stuff, but like there's so much that hemp is capable of creating.
We would have lost World War II had it not been for hemp.
Hey man, I think you got something right there, man.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely true.
Yeah, they made everything out of hemp, dude. All of the
sails, all of the rope, all of the everything for the boats. Yeah, I mean it's crazy. And also like hemp up until like the 1930s, like in the US, you could literally use it as a form of currency. You could pay your debt with it. You could pay your taxes with it. Like, it's crazy.
I'd be the richest man in the world.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty incredible. And I think we're just scratching the surface of what, I mean, it could revolutionize everything. If everything that is on the planet that we make out of plastic right now was made out of hemp and it could biodegrade in 90 days, think about that. Think about the effects of that. And like, it has a grow cycle of 8 weeks. Like, think about how much hemp you can grow.
Right.
You know, and like, all of the different it's honestly mind-blowing.
Yeah, the problem is that our government and the world government runs off of the petrodollar.
Yep.
And there's no way they're going to be like, you know what? I've made enough money.
Yeah, no, definitely not. And it's so crazy that we're looking for new ways of making fuel and new propulsion, these technologies.
Like right there.
And it's like, dude, this thing that you're looking for has been growing for millions of years.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yep.
Yeah. So what's the one thing that it would just change? Like we've already stated, probably 100 different ways that it's beneficial to not only the human race, but also like our industry. That's what humans do. We make stuff, right? So what would you think would push it over the edge to be available to everybody? The catch to that,
the boner pill. That's what's going to change it. I swear.
I mean, that's how we get everybody on board, I guess. So we got to do what we got to do.
But then there's also a double-edged sword there, because once it's, the most valuable commodity.
Well, and I don't think that think about it, because it's not like this thing that has to be made in a lab. It's like a crop that's being grown outside. And the thing that's actually being made into the concrete and the plastic and the stuff is the byproduct. Nobody is using the stalks. That's what's getting made into the stuff. So it's actually waste.
Yeah.
So that's what else is crazy, is that this hemp stalks are they're so fibrous. You cannot break one if you tried.
Yeah.
And that's what's getting made into all of these other things that we're talking about, right? They take the leaves and the flowers and all that stuff, and that's what's being used medicinally. Everything else is just literally gets ground up and made into mulch or whatever, and it's there's just so much opportunity. And you're right, it's a capitalism issue, right? We're talking about okay, we can't make enough money on that compared to oil. But think about if we were to secede from this sort of the oil race, and the US or just decided you know what, we're just gonna make all the same stuff out of hemp, as a microcosm, right, of that.
Start in Austin.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's happening. People are really... it will change, and it's going to adjust, and people will be able to make just as much money on it. You know what I mean? And that's the truth. People are going to be able to make just as much money selling hemp as they are to...
That's why the government's involved now.
Whatever. But that's why they're... Right. That's why there are pharmaceutical stuff coming out that's kind of wishy-washy. Mm-hmm. And some stuff that's happening because they've... It's gonna be hard to stop. I'm telling you, this thing is rolling down a hill, and it'll be interesting to see what happens, because there's a lot up in the air right now, and there's so much opportunity, and it'll be interesting to see what happens, because I don't know that you can stop this sort of snowball that's just on its way down the biggest hill.
Yeah. Big old weed ball rolling down a damn mountain.
Yeah.
Well, so what do you if Texas? Okay, so actually, I did research this before you came over. There's there in Killeen, Texas, there was a deed. It was a big bid for some farmers out in Killeen, Texas, to grow hemp specifically for CBD. Did you hear about this, or did you know about this draw?
I don't know.
It's a trial thing.
So, there's a lot of farms that are growing hemp.
Already in Texas?
Yeah, this is the first year. This is the first
of Austin.
No shit.
Yeah, in Dripping Springs.
No shit.
Tejas Hemp is one. But there's a lot of companies that are growing hemp here in Texas for the first time in 80 years. It's pretty exciting. I think that there's only everything is a little hard, and like I said, there's a gray area, and not every state, Texas is one of them, that doesn't really have the infrastructure in place yet for what they need. You know what I mean? Colorado, everything is set up. They've got all the regulations and all the stuff, and though maybe it isn't perfect and it isn't necessarily easy for all points in the process, they have that stuff in place. And in a lot of states, they're trying to catch up, because it's it's federally legal, people are growing it, and it's okay, we gotta make some regulations, and so it's kind of happening backwards. But there is, I think I read a statistic that I think that there's 4,000 acres of hemp being grown in Colorado or in Texas this year, which is not a ton when you think about how large Texas is, but it is happening here. There is one medical, and maybe this is more of the thing that you're talking about, and it might there are different jurisdictions and different rules everywhere.
It was specifically hemp, like non-psychoactive, no flower.
I wonder if it's being grown for, and maybe it's for like, there's like rules about like stuff that's being grown for like specific like studies or whatever, that like it has to be like a certain kind of
could be,
or it's for military application because it's right next to Fort Hood.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what it is that specific thing that you're talking about.
Yeah, it was in the news.
The government will figure out a way to make bombs out of hemp.
Oh no!
Which might chill everybody out though, right?
Yeah, it's like, why were we fighting? Why
Drop a big weed bomb on everybody. This is a peaceful
Check this out. All right, so 2020 was pretty shitty until hemp bomb.
Yeah,
and everybody was super chill as shit. Like, it was great.
Yeah. Yes, man. Yes.
Yeah, dude.
But yeah, we'll see. I mean, the smokable hemp ban, which has been in effect, well, on and off for the last like month and a half, is supposed to have been final decision sometime today. We've been in here for a while, so
it may have came out. It may have
so
came out.
What I search for?
That
you want to check
it? Sure. Yeah.
So
yeah, check it.
There's
smokable hemp. Yeah.
There's a guy that at my local vape store who also sells the flower, and he was talking about how this new law would affect that you can't have it in like a vaporizable form or in a pre-roll form, but you can still sell it in a jar.
Right. And see, this is one of the problems, is that with this kind of, I think, gross overreach with what's happening, is that if it is banned and this ban does stand, what's going to happen is that people are going to be mislabeling their things so that they can skirt the rules, and they can, which is not good for consumers. It's not good for the companies that are being required to do that, when, the better thing is that like things are just correctly labeled, consumers know exactly what they're getting and what it's for, and like whatever. So yes, so like our rollies, if this hemp ban stands, we wouldn't be able to sell those as a Texas company at all. But we're growing some.
Would you put it in a jar and sell it to people?
Yeah, I mean, we're growing smokable hemp now, and at the farm, like we did that last year for these, but we didn't do like nugs. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like we weren't ready, and like we just weren't ready to do it, and so this year, like there are some strains being grown for that, which we're really super excited to be able to roll out that product after harvest this year. But we would be able to do that, and basically you just don't put on any of the packaging that it's for smoking.
Yes.
And that's kind of like the loophole or the, workaround for that.
Right.
But like, because you could use it in tea, you could use it in food, and like what the consumer does with it after it's purchased is up to the consumer,
Right.
So like, but like that is something that is true, like with hemp buds, is that you can use them for all those other things, right? You can put them in tea, you can put them in food, like you can do all that, you can make them into butter, all that kind of stuff.
On ice cream.
The same way that people do with cannabis for, they make weed butter and make cookies or do whatever in places where that is legal. But yeah, so I mean, it's a workaround to like I said, I think a ruling that is a little bit of an overreach, and it's disappointing because it's a huge opportunity for Texas farmers and for Texas, Texas ag, and also Texas, like it's basically like shutting Texas out of a multi-billion-dollar industry, which is like, right. That's not good for anyone.
Not at all.
And so I'm hopeful that that it'll get worked out. I think that the people are working really hard to make change, and like that's been happening for a long time, and if it doesn't, there will be lots of people, and us included, that like are fighting to make sure that like we can make that happen, because it's something that like we as consumers deserve to have, and like it's just,
yeah,
if it's that they don't have the infrastructure in place that they need, then that's what they need to do, right? They need to put the infrastructure in place and get the regulations in place that need to be there. And that's fine. Like we have, it's better to have regulation, and that's like why you can trust things that are coming out of Colorado or other places, because they have the infrastructure and the regulation that makes it so that that like things were grown without pesticides and things, there are rules to extraction, and though like there are maybe extraction styles that are better than others as far as like what's good for consumers.
No butane.
They're all but they say it's legal. Like it's legal because they're like it's an appropriate limit for human consumption or whatever the thing is. Like there's you're allowed to have some amount of butane or something.
It's kind of
just like mercury that like is in everything.
Vaccines.
Yeah, in vaccines, like there's a.
It's kind of like the acceptable amount of like rat feces,
limit, right,
like during shipping
for
food
whatever.
and stuff. Yeah.
So like it's the same kind of idea with the butane, but so there are regulations for that thing, and like a lot of states, because it was federally legalized, and everybody's like, oh, we don't have any rules about like how this needs to be done. And so I am excited about regulation in the way that it weeds out people who are doing it the wrong way and aren't taking care of the stuff that they need to take care of, which is ultimately the consumer, and nobody should be putting out a bad product that is not helping people or is actually doing the opposite, which is hurting people, and so I welcome regulation, and if that's the thing that needs to be done, that's the thing that needs to be done.
Yeah. I feel like that's a refreshing kind of point of view. I feel like in Texas, especially with this subject, it's like wild, wild west. Get it while you can, but no, it's refreshing.
I'm with that too. Like if you trust the source you're getting it from, and like that kind of thing, like hell yeah, buy it up, buy as many as you can, and have fun, and like do what you got to do, because like there is this thing looming that might take that away from you. But
you
at the end of the day, as a business, right? Like I want to make sure that we're doing right by our customers, and that not just we are, but that like if you go out and you buy CBD off of a shelf, that like you can pick any one of those products and you can guarantee that they have what they say is in them on the label. You deserve that as a consumer, and that's our job to provide that. And so I welcome that type of regulation, because it weeds out people who are just trying to make money and aren't doing things the right way. And it's good for us because it gets rid of that. And then the sort of there's a mental shift, right, where people are like, okay, CBD was like this kind of weird gray area that like nobody trusted and like whatever, and now it's like there's regulation and rules, and like I can trust the products that I see in front of me, and that's what we want. And we try to be really open and honest, and I appreciate being able to be on here with you guys so much to kind of help with education, and because I think a lot of people are standoffish to it because they don't fully understand it and they don't trust. And I understand that, like as a consumer, especially with something that you're ingesting and taking into your body that you're not really sure that it's safe, that it's going to work, all those things, like it's really important to have that trust. And that's the kind of rapport we're trying to build with the people who are using our products, that they can. And if they have questions, they can fire off and ask. We're totally accessible through our Instagram, our Facebook. We have an email address, on a website, and like I welcome consumers to ask questions, because that's what they should do. If you're not sure and you want something, you want to bring something into your life, ask questions and make it happen, because
I love that.
You deserve that, and you deserve for the company to give you the time that you need to like make the right choice for you.
Absolutely.
Like that's what we're doing. And we have our mantra is take care, and we try to do that in all aspects of our process, from the time that the stuff is grown, that my family is growing it. They're taking extreme care of those plants, taking care of it at the extraction. We're taking care of it for distribution, and we want to take care of you, and so that's really, really important to us. And I hope that if anybody who's listening, if they have questions, that that they'll reach out, because I'm an open book. I'm more than willing to answer any questions, so that's.
Hell yeah.
Well, man, this has been awesome. I want you to tell everybody where they can find you, your website, and all platforms
our
and stuff.
Website is redeemersmallbatch.com. I'll do a follow-up post in the Facebook group tomorrow, and if anybody has any questions, they can just shoot them in the comments, and I'll answer them right there, open for everybody to kind of read through and look at. Our website's redeemersmallbatch.com. We have Instagram handle. It's just at redeemersmallbatch. Same with the Facebook page. You can find us on there. We've been, commenting, and there's some places there that you can find us. And there's a great, we have a great promo code for you guys and your listeners for 15% off of their entire purchase. So it's if you're questioning it, or you have questions about dosing, you're not really sure what product is right for you, please reach out. I'm more than willing to help tailor it to what your needs are. And we're always excited to invite new friends of Redeemer, and I look forward to making new friends.
Definitely. Well, we're excited to be a part of it, man. And
I appreciate it.
If you guys are ready to get this whole cannabis thing rolling, and Get your government out of it. Joe Jorgensen, 2020 Libertarian Party. And that's my own personal plug. Sorry.
No, it's good. Gotta get it out
Is
there.
that why you're wearing gold and black, dude?
Yep, she's an amazing woman. That's all I'm gonna say. Just check her out. Yeah. Once again, this has been awesome, dude. I'm super stoked that you're able to make it.
Yeah, me too.
And able to just talk about it, man, and kind of clear the air on stuff and answer questions for everybody.
Yeah.
I'm sure everybody's gonna be pretty stoked because
I had fun. I loved it, and I love the show. You guys are fun, and it's fun to talk about these things and kind of think about them in these larger kind of ways that you guys are kind of looking at everything.
Oh, yeah.
And there's so much conspiracy with cannabis, which we didn't even get into. We could do another whole session with the history of cannabis,
man.
and like
we'll definitely have to do that. We'll have you back on. We'll do like an update in the next couple months, see kind of where everything's at, and we'll get into the conspiracy.
Yeah, no, I love that, because like when we could do like a little history lesson and really like dive into like where, because there's a lot of racial history, there's a lot of like hidden history where like they're just blatantly ignoring science on purpose and these kind of things. And so I think that it could. I think that could be like I said, a whole podcast in and of itself.
This is season episode 1,
right? No, I love it. This is Redeemer Small Batch season 1.
Yes,
episode 1.
Yes,
I'll be back.
Hell yeah, awesome.
I love it, man. Well, hey, dude, you got anything else?
Dude, Bailey, thank you so much.
Oh, man, I appreciate it.
Hell yeah.
Thanks for your hospitality. It's been fun.
Absolutely.
Well, this has been another episode of UFO Garage. Peace.